Back at Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis. What a year it was for Michigan. 15-0 national champs. They get it going against Fresno State on August 31st, and then a much-anticipated non-conference battle against Texas on September the 7th. Not an easy schedule by any stretch. USC and Oregon at home. They are on the road against the Buckeyes in the regular season finale. And the man who will be leading them, Sherrone Moore, joins us right now. And Coach, I want to get into this year in just a bit, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk just a little bit about last year, the huge role that you played in winning a national championship with Michigan. When you think back to that incredible run that you guys had, is there a moment that you think best encapsulates it?
Yeah, I think probably the Friday before the Penn State game, landing, hitting the runway, figuring out coach isn't going to be there, and then watching our team just talk to each other and love each other and understand like how close we are as a team and how special that was. You don't get that a lot. You know, we figured out how close we were as a team, and then it's not just about one man, and even Coach said it, and that's why I love that man to death of his attitude towards players first, and our players really encapsulated like what Michigan is all about, team first and individual second.
I do think it's really interesting the spot you're in, taking over for Coach Harbaugh. I mean, we talk a lot at Media Days through the years. Coach Harbaugh was a guy who was very much a focal point, maybe the focal point of conversation at Big Ten Media Days year in and year out. And I think it's an interesting balancing act, right, between wanting to keep some continuity of what he did. I mean, you mentioned in your podium speech an enthusiasm unknown to mankind, right? Yeah. That is a Jack Harbaughism, but that's Jim right. Adopted it and you used it, but also putting your stamp on the program. So give me a sense of what you have done to make this your program while still respecting everything that's been done here in the recent history.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is to not change things that have worked. The process in which we do things, how we attack our workouts, our practices, that's not going to change. If not, we're going to ramp it up even more. We're going to find ways to get better and better. But, I mean, little things like I like music, play music in practice. Different things that we do off the field. You know, we have different dining stuff now because of Abigail O'Connor, our elite dietitian. And the staff has grown in recruiting a little bit. So different things, different focuses that we've tried to change. But the core and the principles of who we are as a Michigan football team are not going to change.
Coach, I don't know that anyone's ever done what you were doing in certain parts of the season. You were offensive line coach. You were the play caller, which is the most difficult job in all of college football, and you were the acting head coach. You've given up the play calling, I believe. Mm-hmm. How have you managed your days now as a first-time head coach? What's your day like, especially as you look forward to game week? Yeah,
for me, it's making sure every schedule, every T is crossed, every I is dotted on the schedule, making sure every detail, everything that we need to get done from an execution standpoint is on point, making sure in recruiting everything is getting done on a daily basis that we need to get done. But number one and overall is probably making sure every single player on the team is in a great mental, physical, and emotional space because that's what we need to be successful.
What do you have to do on defense? Do you have to learn the defense? Do you want to learn the defense? How are you going to do that?
The good thing is defense a lot. It's a lot of what we've done, so right. I know a lot of it. Mm-hmm. And Coach Wink has already started bringing a couple different wrinkles that'll change, that he can help to attack other offenses, which I'm really, really excited about. But our defense is going to be who we are, and we're going to play to our players' strengths and continue to do that.
Coach, I won't ask you to name the starting quarterback. I know you.
Oh yeah,
we always start there.
That's right.
But Orji has a different skill set than Tuttle or Davis Warren. Kate McNamara and J.J. McCarthy both had their own unique skill sets. And I'm curious, what you prioritize when you're evaluating this battle. Is it, leadership? Is it their ball security? Is it their football IQ? And then the second part of that is, do you anticipate the offense to change at all depending on who does win that job? Yeah,
I think the number one thing is someone that's going to take care of the football. You look at the turnover margin in college football every year, and if you're high, if you're turning over the ball a lot, you're not going to win a lot of games. So I think that's the number one thing. Next, are you a playmaker, whether it's throwing it, running it, or a combination of both? And then are you a team-first guy? So are you going to do everything in your power, requested by Curt Campbell and me in the offense to help our team win? So those are really the biggest things for me.
What's your style going to be as a recruiter, as a head coach, and is it modeled after any head coaches that you've been around?
Yeah, I mean, relentless, aggressive. Try to be on the phone with kids every single day. Try to build a relationship with every person in the class, and continue to do that and sustain that so that we can build the right classes and bring in the right type of kids.
Coach, I look at being a good offensive line coach. You got 15 individuals in your room, and on any Saturday you might have 5 to 7 individuals. But the good offensive line coaches take those individuals and they play as one aligned unit. It's kind of a microcosm of a good head coach.
Yeah.
Is that a fair thing to say? Do you draw on some of your experience in taking a big room and getting them all going in the same direction?
Yeah, I think as the tight end coach, as the O-line coach, as the coordinator, I tried to be the head coach of that position every single time I was doing it and make sure I was prepared for anything and everything that would happen and make sure we do it at utmost detail. But really, I'd like to give the credit to our players. Every day is a joy to be around our players, and last year was no different. The Trevor Keegans, the Zach Zinners, Carson Barnharts, Ladarius Henderson, Drake Nugent, Trente Jones, and all the guys that are there now, they provided me with an avenue to have a phenomenal day every single day, and they really taught me a lot too.
I want to ask you about offensive line as well, but I want to ask you from a personnel standpoint. You guys lost all 5 starters from that group last year, and I think when we think about how Michigan went to the level that it went to here in the past few years, I think one of the big things has been just how great the offensive line play, and of course that has been a huge credit to you. Tell me about the decision to move Grant Newsome over and how you feel about this entirely new batch of starters.
Yeah, I mean, Grant Newsome is an elite coach, elite person, and anybody that knows him knows that he's groomed to be a head coach at some point in the future. So that was a very easy decision for me, and he's probably one of the youngest coaches in college football. So for me, he's a guy that, I was the tight end coach, he was the student assistant. I was the O-line coach, he was a GA. I was the coordinator, he was the tight end coach, and now I'm the head coach, he's the O-line coach. So he's done a phenomenal job of coaching the players that he's had to coach, and watching him mold the kids that he had to mold was a huge part of me making a decision to bring him on. As far as the guys that are there, they're chomping at the bit. They've had a great summer. They've really bonded together, and they saw what it looked like the past couple of years of what it should look like when you're a really good offensive line. So, the jersey on the front is the same. The nameplates are just going to change on the back.
It's interesting to me in looking at the way that you built your staff, because there are some internal promotions. Grant Newsome would be one. Kurt Campbell would be another one. You went outside of the staff to find a defensive coordinator. You were talking about Coach Wink Martindale a little while ago. Why did you choose to go outside, and then what was it about him and particularly his NFL experience that appealed to you?
I mean, the coolest thing about him is our past two defensive coordinators coached underneath Coach Martindale. Right. And to be with the OG of our defense, I couldn't ask for a better guy to lead our defense. So that was really the main decision. I've heard so many good things and did a lot of research and brought him in for 2 days and talked to him about football, about life, about his goals, about what he wants, and he just seemed like a perfect fit.
What's the biggest surprise you've had as the head coach of Michigan?
I mean, there's a lot less football. You take a lot more pictures. But besides that, they're just, you get less. I used to spend my days in a room with 2 big screens and a laptop, and it was football constantly. And you have to deal with so many other things as the head coach. You're dealing with the alignment of an organization constantly. So my job is just to continue to make sure we stay aligned.
You talked a little bit about your full-time play caller now, Coach Campbell, and what I heard was he really helped JJ in his development. Yeah. Obviously, JJ is extremely talented, but his pre-snap operations, understanding the playbook, understanding checks, becoming a student of the game. So it sounds like he's a great teacher. What are you most excited to see from him this fall?
I mean, I think the coolest story about Coach Campbell is we win the national title. It was a party, right? You win a national title, it's a party. You get home, and we land, and I go in the office to get something, and Curt Campbell is watching the game, yelling at the screen about a route death. I'm like, bro, if you don't go home right now, we just won the Natty, and you're over here watching film. So that just encapsulated what I want in my offensive coordinator and the detail that he goes through and what I think the offense is going to be. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be exciting. I think he's going to use the best players in the best places.
Do you have any feel yet for the run-pass ratio compared to last year?
No, I don't. I think we'll be balanced. We try to be as balanced as possible. We don't want anybody to have a predictive tendency on us. Can't predict that we're going to run it 32 times in a game, but you never know. You don't know what the weather's going to be. Right. You don't know what's going to go on. So our job is just to try to win.
the schedule this year, a big jump up. I mean, you got that early out-of-conference game against Texas. There's just much more challenges this year, and you're already replacing a ton of talent to the NFL. What changes for you? You know, what do you have to do in terms of a roster management standpoint to make it through this season fully healthy and at your full potential?
Yeah, I think for us, we look at it as a great opportunity to face some great competition and great players and great teams, great coaches in different venues. Got 8 home games, which is fortunate for us. But for us, it's really training camp is going to be hard. It's going to be tough. But we got to make sure in the right times, in the right places, we turn it up and then turn it down. Turn it up and turn it down. And make sure there's a balance of how we're preparing our players physically and mentally to be ready for the season.
Jerome Moore, can't wait to get to camp, see what all this looks like. As always, really appreciate your time. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Go Blue.
Gophers in the house. Max Brosmer, Cody Lindenberg, Darius Taylor taking in the scene here in Minneapolis as they get ready for the 2024 season. Interesting schedule for the Gophers that starts with a challenging non-conference game right off the bat. They host North Carolina on a Thursday night on Fox. First conference game is at home against a rival in Iowa. They get USC and UCLA back-to-back. They finished, as always, against Wisconsin. Friday night battle with the Badgers, or just a Friday battle, I should say, with the Badgers this season. Their head coach is PJ Fleck. He joins us now. And Coach, great to have you with us. Let's look back before we look ahead. I know last year didn't go exactly as you wanted, and injuries were an enormous part of that story for you guys. But what did it mean to end the season getting to a bowl and, once again, as you always seem to do, to win that bowl game?
I think it was really important. You know, I mean, there's reasons why seasons go the way they go. We don't talk about that publicly, but internally we know that, and it's up to the coach to be able to solve a lot of those things. We break down things, whether it's scheme or personnel or coaching, and I evaluate all 3 of those things and feel like we made our team better in 2024. Got a lot of guys back, 16 of 17 eligible returning starters, and keeping guys healthy will be key this year as we go into the year. But it was exciting to win our 5th bowl in 7 years, and to credit to our administration and our cultural sustainability. Now that Mark Coyle, our athletic director, and myself are the longest tenured head coach AD combination in the Big Ten, which I don't know if that's good news or bad news as we keep moving forward. We'll see.
Well, I'd say it's worked out pretty well
so far.
To this point, you mentioned the bowl wins, and you've yet to lose one in Minnesota. And, in fact, if you go back, Minnesota's won its last 7 bowl games. That's a Big Ten record. So what does it say about this program? I mean, I don't think there are a lot of people out there who would say, you know, what's the team that's won the most consecutive bowl games, not just currently in the Big Ten, but in Big Ten history? I don't know. There's a lot of people that would say Minnesota. Minnesota is the answer. What does that say, kind of big picture, about where you've got this program?
Well, we have 50 wins in 7 years, you know, and I think that when we started this, we talked about that sustainability part, that there will be really amazing seasons like 2019 where we won 11 games. There's going to be back-to-back 9-win seasons like we had in 21 and 22. But there's also going to be some dips here and there, that there are a lot of things that are outside your control. Control's for amateurs. Now, in our world, you got to win games and continue to do that, or you're not going to have any control because you won't be the head coach. But we know the reasons why it went that way, and we were fortunate enough to go to a bowl game because of our academics, and we have a 3.21 cumulative GPA, and rightfully so, they were rewarded for that, and there was one spot open, and we were able to do that and take care of business. But I think that streak's important inside our program. I think our guys take bowl games really seriously, and this particular football team in 2024 loves football. With all the transactional stuff going on right now, that's great. Everybody can benefit from that. But you have the transformational program, but who really loves football? And I think that's what 2024 is all about.
Coach, you've gone through 2 coordinator changes in 2 years. What's the process to replace them? When you
Lots of conversations. You know that. You know, everybody kind of goes to the coaches' convention, mingles with old buddies, old college roommates, goes have a few cocktails and drinks.
That's not your process.
I'm like, I want to do that. I want that process. It seems like every year I'm hiring 4 or 5 coaches, and I love that, though. I want my coaches to move on. I want them to be able to go accomplish their dreams as head coaches, coordinators, go accomplish what they want to do. And I'm proud of the guys who have left and gone on to do that. But the process is it's tedious because you got to be right, especially in 2024. But we kind of, with Corey Heatherman, our defense coordinator, kind of went back to the well, the Greg Schiano well. And I think it's well documented, my respect for him. Seems like we either rotate players or pass each other coaches, and that's what we do. But having Joe Harris-Simiak there, who used to work for us, and the familiarity with Corey, I think it was a pretty easy hire, and he was an immediate fit because he's all ball all the time. And then Bob Ligashevsky and I, we spent a lot of time together when we were both coaches in the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We wanted to do some other things. He's been around the NFL a long time, college football a long time, and we need some more explosive plays in the return game and special teams. And it helps sell Dragan Kesich, the Big Ten Kicker of the Year. That's going to be your kicker as well.
Okay, so I played at Pitt, and Coach Ligg was a special teams coordinator, and you'd come in for like treatment at 6 a.m., and he would be coming back from like a long run. I got to ask, is he still that same vibe?
8 to 10 miles every single day, and he's 62 years old or whatever he is. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable indeed. All right, I want to follow up on something. You said transactional, and I think there's an element of that in the game, of course, right now. How do you decipher from your players who loves what the game does for them and who loves the game? As you're referencing, your players love football. How can you tell?
Well, I think it's part of the evaluation process. Fit is more important in 2024 than ever. So when we go through a selection process, we don't even call it a recruiting process anymore because I'm not convincing somebody to come to Minnesota. It's got to be more of a fit, right? Academically, athletically, socially, spiritually, more than ever. So the transition for us hasn't been as hard because we've always valued that. It's just now our players have this transactional piece. And I said we have 16 of 17 eligible starters back. I think we can all sit at this table and know some of those players that if they would have put their pinky toe in that portal, they probably would have made more money transactionally, but that wasn't what they valued the most. You can value money, but if it's the number one thing you value, the minute you have success, you're going to go chase the next dollar, and then we're going to be outbid. So it makes the evaluation process way more important to make sure those players are valuing the things that you value. Not to say money's not important, but it has to be a part of that value system, not the only value system.
You talked about improving the pass game during the offseason. How do you improve the pass game?
Well, it's an interesting question because when I went back and you watch, as a head coach, I mean, you watched that last year 100 times.
Right.
And you're like, oh, if that would have just happened. Oh, if that would have just happened. We were inches away from winning multiple games by just ending the game that we couldn't complete. And for a multitude of reasons. But when you go back and look at it, we've thrown the ball really well over the years. In 2019, first, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Johnson, 2 first-team All-Big Ten wide receivers. Corey Davis is one of the all-time leading receivers in the history of college football at Western Michigan. But you know this, that as you go through the year, your team shows you and tells you what they're able to do. Maybe a little different from training camp when you start to lose some people that was our identity. Oh, my goodness, we've lost this, and this. And then the games start going a different way, not just losing, but they take a different personality, and maybe now we're better at something else. And if you just keep taking that square peg and jamming in the round hole, you're not going to win any games. So you have to be willing to adapt to what your team is saying, what the injuries are, what you're really good at, and we just weren't efficient enough in the pass game.
You talked about Max when you're on stage and how he's always curious. He's a seeker.
It's unbelievable.
What's a couple examples of how you've noticed that and evaluated that? Because you did make a quick decision to make him the guy in the portal and be the quarterback of your program.
Well, he's the first guy in the building. He's the last guy to leave. He can't get enough information about not just plays and let's talk about this play. It's all I've never heard a quarterback talk more about protection in my entire life. It is a head coach's dream when all the quarterback wants to talk about is protection. And then you watch and you look up and you're in spring ball, and next thing you know, Brian Callahan, our O-line coach, is meeting with our quarterback. I'm like, hold on a second, Brian. You're not allowed to touch our quarterback. What are you talking about, Coach? You wanted to learn about you want to talk about this protection, how we can make this adjustment. It's truly having an 11th coach. Now, we have 1,100 coaches now, and everybody's a coach. But it's amazing that he can be able to, at that level, have that much maturity to spread that amongst everybody. And when you have an infectious quarterback who's curious and always wants to know why, it takes over your entire team.
You going into your 8th year at Minnesota?
8th year.
And did you say you were building a new home?
Yep, new home.
That's confidence, I tell you.
Coach, we started it 2.5 years ago. I mean, we should have built a smaller home, been in it already a year and a half, and it would have been fine. I mean, we would already be living in that. We still don't move in until the middle of August. And I did tell Heather, you do know our profession. If things don't go well, you're not going to be in this home very long. So let's not be attached and make too many expensive decisions on the handles or the door handles or the etching.
Oh, it's Heather's idea.
Just blame everything on Heather at this point. At this point, yes.
I got a lot of confidence in Heather.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. You're more than welcome.
How's the closet space in the new home? Good closet space?
Guys, true story. There's a closet section that's hers, a wing that's hers. There's a room that's not even a closet that's hers, and then there's her closet, which is probably the size of our bedroom right now.
Okay.
And then there's my closet.
Okay. I'm more concerned about yours much as I like Heather, because I'm just concerned what you're going to do with the North Carolina baby blue blazer.
That's right.
Right? I mean, that's the
We'll put it away
season
after
over.
today.
Okay.
I'm just promoting the Gopher North Carolina game 1.
There we go.
I'm showing game 1. But, here's what we got down to actually picking the closets. And I was like, man, your space is way bigger than mine. Your rooms are more than mine. She goes, but, yeah, you have a closet at work.
Oh.
Well played.
Well played. I mean, what would you say after that?
Well played.
Look, Coach, if you're trying to get rid of it, if you don't have a lot of space, I'll take that. I'll take that, Jack. I feel like we're the same size.
There you go. See, we'll pass it to you.
Yeah, give it to you next year at Media Days.
There you go.
Hey, I want to ask you about culture, because I know you coach culture. How do you do that now with the influx of players, returning players, all the dynamics, this conference expanding, and making sure that is one of the things you front load with your organization?
Well, we define culture as connecting others. That's all you're doing, right? You're connecting people, right? And I think with all the outside people our student athletes are involved in right now, you have to have somebody that's going to be able to bring that back, bring some truth to all of it. Not just saying it's only this way, but we have financial literacy classes, we have tax classes, we have investment classes, strategy classes, because we know that's going to happen and they're going to get those resources. But what do they do with those resources, and how can they make smart decisions? Because young people always want the choice of the decision to make all the money, the decision to have all the money. We're all favor for that. But they don't get the choice of the consequence if you make some really bad decisions with all of that. So there's way more people entering their life. We just want to be a buffer. We just want to be an educational system that allows them to have factual information from outside resources that have no skin in the game, that can be able to educate them to be able to make the right decisions moving forward.
I want to ask you about the 12-team playoff. You were mentioning the 2019 season. You guys would have been in that discussion for the 12-team playoff up until the very last week of the season.
Right.
So how can you sell the 12-team playoff at Minnesota where, with all due respect, and look, maybe you could have gotten there in the 14 playoff, but is it a different sell? Is it an easier sell now that it's 12 teams?
I think it's just more realistic for people to put their heads around. It doesn't seem so far out, right? When you go to 12 teams, I think, let's go back. When we were at 4 teams, I think everybody could always identify 2 or 3 of the 4 from day 1 of college football preseason. You could predict 2 of the 3 that were going to be in there. So it was basically a fight for 1 or 2 spots of maybe a surprise team. But now there might be 4 or 5 or 6 teams that are locked, or we could sit there and say, okay, they're going to have really good years and they're probably going to be in the playoff. But the other 6, it leaves room for those 2019 special seasons where we won 6 of 7 one-possession games. And when you look at our schedule, I mean, besides that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln, right? When you look at our schedule, there's so much opportunity. But when you look at it, as you predict, from your world, there's probably a lot of one-possession games on there. And if you can win 7 or 6 of those one-possession games out of 8 or 9, you could be right there in the mix. And I think that's what's going to be exciting for college football in all conferences.
Let's talk about that very first game where you could send a message about Minnesota on a great stage on a Thursday night. Think about last year, you had a marquee game early too, right? You had Nebraska in the opener. Yep. So you just kind of think about the opportunity of a game like that right off the bat. How does that change maybe the tenor of what you do in camp when you know we're going to be in the spotlight from the first moment of the season?
The only adjustment we made last year was we just turned our focus to Nebraska about 2 days earlier rather than, maybe a little bit sooner staying in camp. And that was really the only adjustment we made. But they're a really good, talented team. I mean, they're really, really talented. Mack Brown's one of the best coaches in the country. And I always tell the story about Mack. When I was an up-and-coming player, I wrote every Division I school a letter saying I wanted to coach. I got 4 letters back. And one of those letters is from one of our rivals, and I shared it with him. And then one was from Mack Brown. And it's still in my office to this day, framed. And he runs a great program. They're a tough team. But we started looking at a lot of things in the offseason like we always do. But the only change we'll make is we'll move up the preparation in about 2 days.
So that's how that kind of game changes camp a little bit.
It does, because I think for us, like especially the conference game, I wanted to get to that as fast as possible. Once you identify what your team's really good at, because training camp to me is just solidifying what kind of team you're going to have. What are you really good at? It's making the final rehearsal to going out to play, right? To going out to the play. So that's the biggest thing for me. And then if I can get to the opponent and I have an identity of what I know we're going to be and I have a feel for that earlier, we'll get to that opponent. So 2 to 3 days earlier is where I really like to be, so we can keep getting better in repetition for that one game, because it's a Thursday night and we have some time off after that to spend more time on the opponent, because we've always played an opening Thursday night game.
Well, it is the first stop of our camp tour, Minnesota. Looking forward to it.
We look forward to hosting you.
About a week away. You are always great hosts. There's always a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and we look forward to watching some great football as well. PJ Fleck, always a pleasure. Thanks.
Pleasure's all mine. Thanks for having us.
That's a good celly right there.
Yeah, coming off an 8-5 season and their third straight bowl win, and I just got to say, find yourself a coach who can bring the vibes like Michael Locksley. Having a good time here in Indianapolis as Media Day rolls on. Felton, Ruben, Hyppolite, and Jordan Phillips, the Maryland Terps, joining us here on the set. Gentlemen, welcome to Big Ten Media Day. How we doing?
What's going on?
How you doing?
Thank you for having us.
I'm doing great. You guys all look sharp. We got the Prada purse here. We got the custom suit on the end. You guys looking the part, no doubt about it.
Appreciate it.
How's summer been?
It's been good. Been
Yeah?
grinding.
Pretty good.
Yeah, definitely been grinding.
Yeah, it's been a grind.
Sure.
Getting better every day.
It does feel like, and Coach Locksley said a lot of great things on the podium earlier that I'll ask you about, but one of the things is he said that we feel as comfortable and confident in who we are, that there is a sense that there's a team. He said we haven't arrived yet, but we know who we are. So, Ruben, I'll start with you. What is it about this team that feels different, and the confidence being able to do what you guys did last year?
Yeah, for me, it's all about consistency and discipline. This is the motto. This is my personal motto for this year. How our habits are going to help us win games. I think that's the most important. So, we had a player-only meeting at the start of summer. We brought the whole team in a team meeting room, and we talked about our habits, and we talked about what we want to accomplish this season. And that's what it's about. It's all about how we handle that, and that's going to determine if if we gain success or not.
And that was another thing that Locksley said, is that he said this is the most player-led program that he's had since he's arrived in Maryland. It's his 6th season. So, Ty, from your perspective, I mean, the player-only meeting is probably part of that, but how has that evolved and become a player-led program, which is always the best way for a program to win?
100%. Especially you got to have older guys like us setting the example. You got guys, everybody's putting in extra work after practice. We're having player-led meetings. Everybody's putting in extra work after practice, after lift. So when you have that type of accountability that's held throughout the whole room, everybody is looking to be great. So hopefully that helps us have a successful season.
And Jordan, I think about you, and obviously your second year back at Maryland, the comfort level that you feel now heading into year number 2 as opposed to being the new guy last year?
Yes, I definitely feel way comfortable right now than I was last year around this time. Way more comfortable with the playbook, way more comfortable with things and how they're ran in the program.
What is it about this defense? Because I think we talk a lot about the offense, but the defense may be the strength of this team this year. So give us a preview.
Well, I think everybody holds themselves accountable before holding others accountable. I feel like we have great leaders on defense with guys like me, Ruben, Hyppolite, Dante Trader, Kellen Wyatt, guys like that. We all make sure that we're holding each other accountable and we're carrying out the standard that Coach B. Will set for us.
Yeah, 7 returning starters from a defense that had 34 sacks and 17 picks last season. You came here and said you wanted to be a part of something that you could help build, and you have certainly done that.
Right.
When you think about you deciding to come back for your 5th year and what you've been able to do with this program, what's next?
We got to go win. That's the goal. We want to be successful as we can. Hopefully get another bowl game win under our belt. But, the main goal for me is to get 1% better each game, each practice, and that's the goal for our team as well. We definitely want to put our best product forward on Saturdays for the fans, for our families, for our supporters, and, mostly for ourselves. So.
There's some new fan bases that are going to be tuning in to you guys and are get to see you out on the West Coast. You got a West Coast game, which we'll talk about coming up in a little bit. But what is something about, for people who don't know about Maryland football and are just starting to get to know you guys, what is something about this program that you think they should know?
Definitely, we're a fast-paced team. We're going to be very disciplined. We're going to play fast on both sides of the ball. We're going to run to the ball on defense. We're going to score touchdowns and throw some deep passes, hopefully, on the offensive side. So just know that we're going to be disciplined. We're going to be a fast-paced team.
Yeah, I'm excited for our team. I'm excited for this season. We're going to be a team who doesn't give up, relentless. We're going to play physical on both sides of the ball. And it's always going to be a show. I tell everybody, if you come to a Terps football game, it's going to be a show. So excited for that.
I'm excited also. We're going to get better every game, every day. We're going to hold each other accountable. We're going to execute at a high level, and we're going to encourage each other.
You know, Ty, I think about the talented receivers that you've played behind, and now, you know, you're going to be one of the top wideouts in this league. People are going to know who you are if they didn't already. How has your role evolved, and how do you feel about the leadership role that you're taking on now this year?
Yeah, coming in, I had guys like Rakim Jarrett, Dante Demas. So watching those guys and how they went about the game on and off the field. So that was the one big thing, watching their blueprint. They kind of turned me into the player I am now. So I'm trying to set examples, be a leader for the younger guys, and we're out there balling. So we're going to keep going with that.
Ruben, I probably should have had you host this segment because I found out that you're a podcast host.
You see me, yes.
I do see you.
Yes.
Yes. Tell me about the podcast, because I was searching for it online and honestly immediately couldn't find it. So what's the name of your podcast?
Yeah, so the name of our podcast is One Speed Entertainment. It's myself, Dante Trader Jr., Bo Braid. We started that last summer. And how we came up with it, we were bored. We wanted to talk about our season. And, we were inspired by some podcasts that are already out, example like The Pivot, I Am Athlete. So we just wanted to resemble that, but on a collegiate level. And we just wanted to have fun with it. So that's why we started it up. Gained a lot of traction. The fans love it. Everyone loves it. So, we're just continuing to do what we do.
I love it, and that's one of the things that I have really started to appreciate is the players who are starting their podcast, because you get to see people in a different light, right? Like, I can ask you all these questions, but it's a different thing when you're with your teammates and you guys are chopping it up like that. So I guess I'll ask you, do you have a different sense of the media now that you've been on the other side of
I definitely do. Definitely have to watch what I say.
Yeah.
Can't be as, cutthroat as I would like to be sometimes. Definitely have to uphold an image. It's definitely challenging being in the media space because it's a lot of, ins and outs that you got to be aware of. But it's fun at the end of the day. I love it.
Yeah, words matter. They do.
Right.
That is for sure.
Right.
All right, Jordan, Dustin, your terrific SID told me that you watch more film than any player he has ever been around.
He definitely does.
In his career. So
sure.
Talk to me about your film sessions. What are you watching and your work ethic? He says, you're the strongest guy on the team, pound for pound.
So I like to watch guys in college football in my position who play defensive tackle, and I also like to watch guys in the NFL. I look at what people do that's good, but I also study what they don't do so well. The reason being so I could try to prevent making those same mistakes in my own game. And I also study a lot of situational football because at the end of the day, increasing your football IQ in this game, yes, it's about physicality. You can lift all the weights in the world you want, but if you don't have the IQ to go with it, the weights don't mean anything. So it's very important that I study situational football and just know what I'm looking at.
The brains and the brawn, a winning combination. There's no doubt about it. All right, Ty, we can't get out of this segment without me asking you about the quarterback. I know you've been asked about it a lot. Billy Edwards, MJ Morris, who comes in from NC State. What have you seen, and kind of what light can you shed?
Yeah, for sure. I've been with Billy for 2 years now. He transferred in a couple years ago, and MJ just came in. But Talia, he really set the standard and the example for how quarterbacks should be playing ball on and off the field. So those guys seeing him and the other guys seeing him, such as Cam Edge, Champ, Jaden Saray, those guys seeing how Leah play ball, it makes my job easy because they're in the facility all day. They're putting in work. They're with Coach Locks. It's a very competitive room right now because Coach Locks is back in the quarterback room. So it's very competitive, but it increases everybody's play because when you see the quarterback working that hard, you want to work that hard as well. So it's definitely a blessing to have those guys.
Yeah, when you've had a guy like Leah Tungavaloa who's been with you since you've been there, it's going to be a change. It's going to be different. But I think about the 3-touchdown game you had against Indiana, which I know that was a special moment for you, but I'm told that your parents, who I know are very supportive, were not in attendance. Is that?
Yeah, they were at my sister's gymnastics competition, and it was my mom's birthday that day.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess she gets to choose.
Right.
But did you give her a hard time? Like, did you say, hey, Mom?
I said, yeah, a little bit, but I told her that I was going to have a good game that day, so she respected that one.
Yeah, happy birthday to you, Mom. 3 touchdowns for you. I love it. And I do think that in wherever you get to where you are, and I look at the three of you sitting on this desk representing this program at the highest level, there were so many people along the way who supported you. So I'd ask both of you, too, like who were those people that have had a huge impact on your path to get to where you're sitting right now?
Yeah, my mother for sure. I tell everybody we grew up together. We've been through a lot. So she's my number one supporter. My high school coach, Junior Rosegreen, he's definitely helped me. When you talk about the transition from high school to college, he's definitely helped me out in that aspect. And it's countless others. I mean, I have such a great support system, and I'm very thankful and grateful for all of them.
So similar to Ruben, my mother too, like me and her have been through a lot in life. So I've always saw her fight through adversity, do an amazing job to make sacrifices for me and my brother, you know what I'm saying, just so we could have, it's times that she went without just so we could have. So definitely my mom, my high school head coach, Aaron Shepard, he definitely has been a great mentor to me, along with my trainer back in Orlando, Florida, Clyde Williams. He laid the foundation for me in terms of showing me how to work, and how to go about my business the right way. And there's just so many other people that I can name also. I could go on and on all day, but those are just the top 3 off the top of my head that I can think about right now.
I love that. And I think it is so important to remind ourselves of all the people who made all those sacrifices to get to where we are. I want to talk about your schedule real quick, and then we'll do some non-football questions. You guys good with that?
Let's do it.
Early conference opener, you got Michigan State week 2. That's on Big Ten Network. And then you host USC October 19th. That's a homecoming game. At Oregon on November 9th. The 3 of you told me that you have not been to the state of Oregon.
Right now.
I have not.
Florida boys up here.
I have. I heard it's green. Like I told you.
It is green.
I heard it's very green.
The grass is damn green in Oregon.
Yeah. So it's excited for that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the schedule, and again, doing away with divisions is a big, makes a big difference for you guys and who you don't have to play this year. But what excites you the most?
I'll say really just the competition, you know what I'm saying? We're going to take it day by day, of course, but we really just excited for the opportunity to come out here, play, compete. We have some amazing people, amazing young men in our program. We have even a more amazing coaches who put together great game plans for us on a weekly basis. So, we're just excited for the opportunity, and we're going to seize it.
You guys are going to see it. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's about seizing the opportunity. That's all I wanted. That's how I got here, and that's how I continue to have success. It's all about opportunity, taking it and running with it. So I'm big on opportunity. I never want to miss out on opportunities. I always take full advantage of it. So I'm just excited for the opportunity. There's going to be a lot of eyes on us this season. So sure. I'm ready for all of it.
Yeah,
so
as many as they've ever been. There's no doubt about it. All right, you guys ready for some rapid fire questions?
Let's do it.
Man.
Okay. If you could change or maybe add to one rule in college football, what would it be?
Ooh, I would say overtime rules. Make them like NFL.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll go
like
with that.
one.
Mondays off is mine. Mondays off.
Mondays off? Okay, I'll talk to Coach Locksley about that.
I'll take the targeting rule out.
Just completely take it out.
Take it out.
Okay,
That's
all
crazy.
right.
That's crazy.
I'll send that into the rules committee and see what we can do. Favorite NFL player growing up?
Julio Jones.
Levante David.
Aaron Donald.
All good answers. Favorite non-football athlete, either current or former? Somebody that you like.
Kobe Bryant.
LeBron James.
I'd definitely say Kobe Bryant.
Kobe's a great answer, as is LeBron. Okay, if you could win a gold medal in any Olympic sport, opening ceremonies are tomorrow, so we got Olympics on the mind.
Gotcha.
What would it be?
100-meter track.
Good answer.
I'll go track and field. I'm a fast guy. People may not think of it, but I'm a really fast guy.
E2 speed.
I'll say swimming.
Swimming? I could see you. Backstroke, maybe? I could see
You're too
that.
big
All
for
right.
that.
Before we let you go, because we got your coach coming up next, your favorite Coach Locksley-ism?
What's up, Bubs? that's what he always
what he
calls.
says?
He always calls me Bubs.
All right.
I got the Van Cleef on. I got the drip on. He always got something on. He always got something, some name brand something on. So I say that.
And he's rocking a great outfit today.
You're right.
Don't count the days, make the days count. He said that a couple years ago before, I think it was the first day of camp. And so I saw that on the documentary on YouTube, and that just always stuck with me. Don't count the days, make the days count.
That's a great line. Gentlemen, terrific having you here. Excited to watch you guys compete this year and enjoy it. Enjoy that green grass in Eugene.
Will do.
Yes, thank you so much
Thank
for
you. I
having me.
appreciate it.
And by the way, Coach Locksley delivered my new favorite saying today when he was on the podium when he said, headbutt the finish. Headbutt the finish. I love that.
No doubt.
Been a good day for the Maryland Terrapins, jetting out to Indianapolis. There you see the crew about to board the flight. And
Looks
when
like
they
a
got here,
Citation 10. They're getting on. That's a nice jet. Just saying, Reverend.
that's more your area of expertise than mine. You're more the private jet guy, Howard. I'm with the people. You know that. And then when they got here, well, they had a heck of a good time, as evidenced by this. Look at Locks looking good there.
Hey. The DJ was killing it in there, bro. Come on, man.
He had you in the mood.
If it wasn't for football, I'd be in the music. I promise you. Hey, look at, hey.
Maryland Maryland coach Mike Locksley is with us. Coach, first of all, you look great. I can see why you're dancing.
Thank you. New knees, man. 2 new knees. Thanks, Dr. Sherrone, man. 2 new knees. I'm ready to roll.
When the doctor gets a shout out on the air, we know it's a job well done by him. And you're also dancing because you got this program really playing well. 3 straight bowl wins, the first time that's happened in the history of Maryland football. What's next? Like, how do you go from being good, and I think you've gotten it to good, to going to great?
Yeah, we went from a C- student to a B student to where it's not your same old mama's Maryland when we show up. But this next step, and everyone always thinks it's an ambiguous answer, like what's the next step? Well, the next step is the hardest one. When you go from going to bowls to saying, I declare I want to compete for Big Ten championships. I saw this little clip Will Smith had where he talked about Bad Boys 1 was 90% done, and they were all pumped up, and the director was like, well, if you think it's 90% done, that means we're 50% away from 100%. So that last step from going from bowl wins to championship caliber, that's the toughest step. And what I've learned and why I'm comfortable and confident is that our players understand what it takes. And now you got to live different. You got to eat different. You got to think different. You got to approach it differently to get over that 50% hump and to be able to compete for championships. And it usually starts with sacrifice. And our players believe in that. We're a player-led culture, as well as we expanded the room in the Big Ten Conference.
Well, one thing that has certainly changed is your quarterback, and you were mentioning up on the podium all of the accolades for Leah Tagovailoa and just how important he was in getting you to this point.
Right.
Take us into the quarterback room. Give us a sense of what's behind Leah and who might be under center for the Terps this year.
Yeah, first it starts with, because of the legacy that Leah has left in terms of how you need to prepare as a Terp quarterback. The system has been bulletproof with the quarterbacks that have played in it. Jalen, Tua, Mac Jones, CJ, CJ Brown, and some of those other guys that have played in the system, Juice Williams at Illinois. The system shows it's bulletproof, but what Leah was able to do was leave the legacy of how you prepare and build that room. Part of my transformation of losing weight is I'm back in the quarterback room. I got to run from drill to drill, and I get a firsthand view every day of what the quarterback room looks like. We've got an important decision to make, and we've got a really competitive room with, at least 4 guys that will have a chance to compete for the job. There's no doubt that it'll be a great competition because we've recruited well to the room, but the job that Leah did in terms of leaving the legacy of what it takes to be a Maryland quarterback at a really high level, didn't get us over the hump, didn't win a championship, but he left a legacy that we can take the experiences when we did fail, apply them, and maybe take something from them.
Coach, you're very intentional. So how is it, not so much your transfer, but the way you feel now about this program, the way you move around here today, how important is that for your team to see and understand?
Comfortable and confident, and I didn't make this up. I know sometimes you get, as a coach, you get coach-itis where you're making up words, but when Jordan Phillips, when I walked up and I had my shirt, I didn't have a tie on, and I was he said, Coach, you look different, man. I was like, I'm comfortable and confident, and it's funny because that's what our team is. And not comfortable in that we think we've arrived, but comfortable in we know who we are. We know that there's change in the league and that we've been 5th the last couple of years, and we've added 4 new teams. My boss knows it, and we know that for us to continue to to try to compete for that 4th spot, to try to get in the playoffs, we're going to have to take great sacrifice. We're here to break up status quo, man. We ain't afraid to dream big. I said up there that, I want to be the first black head coach to win a national championship. I've kept that a secret a long time because I was afraid that people are going to say, you can't even win a big game, Locke, shut your mouth. Well, you know what? I said it. My give a crap gauge is on E. If I fail trying to do that and you want to make fun, I'm all right with that. And I want my team to know, dream big. The breaking up of the conference, the divisions, and those are great opportunities for a place like Maryland, man.
It's been amazing to listen to you all day long, and specifically around being comfortable and confident. You said your team reflects that. What's something that you see or hear from the strength and conditioning staff that makes you say, yeah, I know that is a truth?
So we just got finished going through our evaluation from summer workouts, and we have an accountability grade where, whether it's taking shakes, post-recovery shakes, going in the cold tub for extra work, doing all the little things, the sacrifices you got to make to take that next step to close that 50% gap. Well, a guy had a 90% accountability rate, and his rank on our team was 49. And I was like, this don't make sense to me, RD. How does this work? How's he 49th? He says, because we've got 48 other guys that are at either 100 or 99.8 or whatever it is. And so to me, as we enter year 6, every player in the program, every member of our staff or people I brought in here, the alignment is there. They understand how we do business, but they also understand to take the next step, we got to make a different kind of sacrifice. And this team has embodied it with how they've worked.
How's Roman Hemby really grown as a leader? I can remember being in camp and you saying he's the guy. How's he grown, not only on the field, but more importantly in the locker room?
Man, I'm going to just tell you, the number one thing that Roman does for our program is this kid has so much humility. That's the word that, for this year, humility, man, being able to be vulnerable. And you know what? He's a great teammate, man. And because of that, he's going to get drafted. He's going to play a long time. He'll play a long time in the league. As we know, the running back room is a different room now. I mean, I had a running back room where I had Najee, Josh, Damian, and Brian Robinson. I've had where we had Jake Funk, Anthony McFarland, Javon Leake. You have to be unselfish at that position now and understand that when you get your opportunities, you take advantage of it. And Roman's one of those guys that does it, but he also brings people along with him, man. Nolan Ray's going to be a big player for us, and he's like Roman's little brother, and Roman is giving him all the secret sauce of what it takes to be successful.
You referenced the system a few times. Take us into the system, and then what tips the scale to say, yep, new face in the program, and MJ, he's the guy, or someone who's been there for a while? How are you going to decide who becomes that quarterback for you?
Yeah, it starts, and I've been a part of a lot of quarterback battles, the Jalen Tua at Alabama, playing Juice Williams early at Illinois. You get used to that, and the number one thing for me is protection of the football at the quarterback position. I mean, our quarterbacks, the system, you don't have to force things. And so the quarterback that protects the ball the best, the guy that moves the chains or matriculates the ball, that can gain 4 yards, stay on track, and the guy that has the ability to make the other players around him better will be the guy that lines up when we open up against UConn. And I'm looking forward to figuring that out the next 29 practices as the quarterback coach, hands-on. Skinny Locks is back in the room, man. It's like Camp Rantoul at Illinois back in the day. I'm excited to be in the room again.
Hey, I got to ask, because I'm new to this desk with these guys. I've heard about the Locksarita. I haven't been to campus yet. I want to get there. Coach me up when I get to campus.
Well, Grill Marks is an establishment that I know a little bit about. Their owners, Jackie and Andy and Doug, they do a tremendous job. And when you're in College Park and you're looking for a place to go, I strongly recommend Grill Marks. They make a drink for me. I like spicy and sweet, man. I'm kind of confident,
like
spicy and sweet. And the Locksarita is a spicy jalapeno tequila that has a pineapple kind of a base. And you put the little, what's that brown salt around it? I don't even know the name of it. Whatever that. Come on, man. That's on the tip of your tongue.
I know.
Whatever that is, and it gives it that sweet, spicy, all the flavors. I can't say that because my players always get on me if I say all the flavors in my mouth or whatever. I got to make sure I pause or whatever they say. But it's a wonderful drink, man, and it's named after a good guy, man.
I've learned
and a certain percentage goes to my NIL deal.
Coach, you talked about being back in the room with your quarterback. So you get an opportunity, obviously, as the head coach, but seeing those guys, the big fellas up front. And we've talked about how you needed to continue to develop that group up front. How have they developed?
You know what? And I know you guys are coming to see us early. We look like a Big Ten team now. I can tell you, and it starts up front, the D-line and the O-line. We've got length. We got young, lengthy players that play heavy. To win in November in the Big Ten, man, you got to run the ball and stop the run. Yeah. I mean, the wind blows, it's cold, the air comes out of it, the throwing it ain't where you're going to have to line up and fight the tough guy in the phone booth. And we put a lot of emphasis on this O-line this year. We got 3 O-line coaches. Brian Braswell, who's developed 4 NFL players the last 2 cycles. I brought in Damian Robolowski to coach, to have 2 full-time O-line coaches, which allowed Josh to go to receivers and me to go in the quarterback room. And then I bring in Brian Ferentz as our analyst who now can coach on the field.
Yeah.
So imagine expediting the growth of the young linemen when you got Brian Ferentz over on the scout field with these 10. We signed 10 guys from Central PA all over this region to come in and let them grow for 3 years. And we signed some portal guys like Lou Ball and Alan Haran and Isaiah Wright to kind of give them time to grow. And, you know, Grandma's chocolate chip cookie recipe taught me how to build this thing, man.
Nice.
I'm glad you brought up Camp Rantoul because we all almost blew away. We saw Annie M and Toto flying by that year. That was
tough.
It was a little ugly. Those were the days, Locke.
Yes.
Looking forward to our days at Maryland. As you said, it's right around the corner, getting a chance to see the Terps. We even talk about Brian Williams and the defense, but we'll save that for our visit because that is a vastly improved group. Mike Locksley, great to see you.
Some terrific memories from a season that will never be forgotten in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The defending national champions from Ann Arbor. On set with us now, Max Bredeson, Donovan Edwards, and Makari Paige. Gentlemen, welcome to Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
I just am watching your faces and the smiles as you relive some of those moments. You've had a lot of good memories last year and a lot of good memories on this field here celebrating 3 state Big Ten championships.
Mm-hmm. A lot of good memories here.
A lot of good memories here. All right, I got to ask you guys because I think so many people who play this game, they always dream of doing what you guys did last year, win a national championship. So few actually reach that moment or that opportunity and are able to do it. So, Donovan, for you, I'll start with you. What has life been like the last 6 months? Has it changed at all?
Not at all. I just think that, my whole process has been football-oriented and community-oriented, And ultimately, that's just the Michigan way, and that's how we handle business. We're a player-led team, and we have a tremendous coach, Sherrone, Moore, leading us along the way, and we're also very involved in the community. So that's what life has been like for me.
I love that, and I want to talk about some of the stuff that you're doing in the community and about your new head coach in a minute. But Makari, for you, I'll never forget. I saw our colleague Jake Butt on the field in Houston right after, maybe it was 2 hours after you guys won. He was sweating buckets, and he was still in shock. Like, he was so thrilled and happy and excited. And I'm just curious. I know that you guys, that meant a lot to you, each of you, to win that national championship. But for the people and the fans and the former players, have you gotten a sense of what that meant to them?
Yeah, they all express gratitude, towards us. Like, thank you for allowing us to experience this moment. And, I see that a lot of times where people come up to me telling me thank you in the airport or in the mall or somewhere. They say thank you. We appreciate what y'all did this year. So it's been great.
It was amazing. I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan for about 10 years as a kid, and I know that fan base well, and I know how special it was for them to watch you guys do what you did. I love your story, Max, and a lot of people know about your brothers, but I think you forged your own path. And your former walk-on, you played quarterback in high school, you come to Michigan, and Coach Harbaugh asks you to be a tight end. You say, okay, and also, I'll be a fullback. I don't think people really understand what the fullback position is all about. So for those uninitiated, how would you describe your role in this offense?
Something we take pride in the fullback position is violence and versatility and finding ways to add value to help Michigan win, and whether that be in the backfield, on the line, just finding ways to add value to help Michigan win, help Seven always look good, and it's a fun role.
Can you add to that? Because that's a pretty humble description of what he does. He sacrifices his body on every play.
He's humble, but Brady a dog.
Yeah.
That's as simple as I could put it. I'm over here just listening to him. He's nice spoken voice, but that's not the way he played. Brady mean.
The helmet goes on and a light switch goes. Blake Corum is gone. You're the guy now, and you've waited your turn, and you've been the guy, but this is different. You're stepping into an even bigger leadership role. You've talked a lot about the spiritual awakening you've had, the way that you have kind of looked at your game and your life different over the past few months. So I would love to just give you the opportunity to talk about that and express what's changed.
Yeah, so, for me, the way I look at the running back position, it's an open competition. I don't look at myself as being the number one guy. I look at it as we're competing every single day. Who's going to win the job? And I've told my guys, I'm going to outcompete you guys. I'm going to outwork you guys. I'm going to show Tony out for why I deserve to be number one. And with that same process, the guys have, like they're coming for the spot, So ultimately, I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for that running back room because ultimately each one of those guys could be the number one running back, and every single day we're competing to get better and we're pushing each other and we're thriving, to help this team win.
So what's the version of Donovan Edwards that we're going to see on the field this year?
I'm going to be more of a humble guy, still be confident because that's who I am. I'm never going to change that. I'm going to be humble, confident, and also I'm going to motivate my teammates the best that I can. And with the help of these guys and a couple more of our teammates, it's easy because I'm not one person saying everything. These guys are relaying a message that I have said, Coach Moore has said, our head strength and conditioning coach Justin Tress has said. So it's easy because I have guys like these guys right here. We got Josiah Stewart, who's been emerging as a tremendous leader. Miles Hinton. Who else is right? Oh, my bad. Will Johnson, Orgy, all the juniors, Mason, KG, C. Love have been emerging as leaders, and that's why this team thrives, and that's why we're so talented. That's why we're so good because we all have a common bond, and that's the brotherhood, and that's winning football games.
See, I love that answer because you name all those guys, and I think a lot of the narrative around Michigan right now is, you're the defending national champs. You guys proved everybody wrong last year, and yet there's a lot of new faces and a lot of new pieces. We mentioned Blake Corum gone, J.J. McCarthy gone, and then the list goes on. So, Makari, I'll start with you. I mean, this was the best defense in the country last year. You give up 10.5 points per game. Wink Martindale, your new defensive coordinator, comes in. He's kind of the godfather of the scheme that you've run. But tell me about what we are going to see on that side of the ball and the mentality of this defense.
I can tell you it won't be a drop-off at all. We've got a lot of great guys, like some he named, like Mason, KG, Derek Moore. You're going to see a new one, Zeke Berry, McBurrows, everybody for real. We're going to have a great season again on defense. So, it shouldn't be a drop-off. We got Coach Wink now, great coordinator, smart, a lot of gems in his brain. So we learn from him and continue to do what we do. Will
there be some different wrinkles? I mean, Sherrone Moore was talking about how everybody's kind of got a different personality.
Yeah, for sure. He got that fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who else has that fire is Sherrone Moore, your head coach. And obviously this is a guy who's been in the program for a long time. You know him very well. You saw what he was able to do as an interim head coach with all the adversity that you guys went through last year. What is something that you think people are going to learn about Sherrone Moore this season?
I think people will learn just how much he really values Michigan. He loves this place so much. He loves he'll do anything it takes for Michigan to win, and he is selfless. He cares about us so much. He always says it's all about the players, and we really feel that. And when he says things like that, it really helps you just get everything you got for him.
Yeah, Donovan, what about for you? What was it like seeing what he was able to do last year and step into that position when
100%.
Coach Harbaugh couldn't be there?
I saw it as a glimpse of his career at Michigan. The confidence and the poise that he had. We didn't know that Coach Harbaugh wasn't going to coach the Penn State game, and an hour and 30 before the game, they said, "Hey, Coach Moore, you're going to be the coach," and he took that role on strongly, and nothing has changed since him being an offensive coordinator. He's still the same guy. He's still high energy. He still cares about his players. Still loves the coaches. He's challenging everybody as he did as an offensive coordinator. So nothing has changed, and I'm excited for the rest of his career at Michigan.
Yeah, it feels like obviously some new players and new pieces, but the approach and the culture remains the same that it's been. I think about last year, you guys overcame that adversity. You rode this sort of Michigan versus everybody mentality to a 15-0 record. So how do you keep that chip, that edge? Because you did prove everybody wrong, and now you're coming back as a defending national champs with a bullseye on your back. So is the Michigan versus everybody, does that work in year two after winning an Natty?
Yeah, it still works. That's a new season, new goals, new teams in the conference. So we got a new season to play, and past is the past. So we all looking forward to one game at a time, but winning every game, taking every day at a time.
Well, and we'll bring up the schedule in a minute because you guys got some awesome games coming up. But Donovan, you have been outspoken about your advocacy for mental health. I know you mentioned some of the work you're doing in the community, your camps. So, yeah, give us That's right. He deserves those pats on the back. Amen. If my arms were long enough, I'd be giving you it too. But how did you? I mean, there is so much that is required to play football and be a full-time student at a place like the University of Michigan. So, how do you make time for it, and what is important to you?
Yeah. So, last year it was kind of like a struggle for me, and I've had an emotional roller coaster all of last year. But I had like Freddie J, Mike Hart, Coach Moore, Jared Wangler. Shout out to my boy Jared. Those guys like really helped me out in my process of just my emotional roller coaster. So, I'd be doing a disservice if I wasn't being vulnerable to the world and, just saying like, oh, I did it this way and, I just stay strong. No, like it was sometimes like where I cry. It was sometimes I came into the meeting room mad, and that's perfectly fine. But, the thing that I could say is I didn't allow that to affect the team. I didn't allow that to affect my running back room, even though my guys knew like he's not okay. I can't the person like my emotions are going to show. If I'm happy, I'm happy. If I'm sad, I'm sad. I can't hide it. I'm bad at that. So, people have helped me. So, I'll be doing a disservice to the world. And to younger generations and even older generations than me. That we all struggle, but it's not okay just to feel sorry for yourself. Like, you have to overcome it, because I'm a believer that the struggle that you have is just a test of your character. So
I appreciate that so much, because I think so many people, even the ones at the very top, everybody's going through stuff. And when you keep it inside, I think there are some young people who look up to you who, you're having a big impact on them and sharing your story. So I appreciate that very much and being vulnerable. I want to ask you guys about your schedule, because you got a big time slate of games. You host Texas week 2, and I know it's about game 1 and week 1 and all the rest, and you're going to give it. But talk to me about what that opportunity means.
Yeah, we love the opportunity. We love the big stage. It's big brands of college football going at it. And but what makes this program so special is that we focus on what we have today, tomorrow. Like, we got lift tomorrow. We just can't wait to get back and do that. But in the end, like, we take advantage of every opportunity we have, and grateful that we have so many.
And you're going to have a lot of opportunities when you look at this. I mean, you open conference play at home against USC October 5th. You go to Seattle for a rematch of the national championship, and then the game that everyone has circled in November, which is when the Oregon Ducks come to the Big House. So give me one thing that you were most excited to see before we let you guys go with this Michigan football team this year.
Excited to see a lot of new big names get to go prove themselves right and show the world what they've been working for.
Love it.
I agree. I 100% agree with Brady. I'm excited for the new leadership of emergence and, guys having that self-drive and, being relied on when their number wasn't called last year and seeing how they would take it this year. Shout out to Coach Moore, though, too. He's right there. So that's my man right there. Yep, we see him. Yep, that's right. Yep.
I'm excited, to go out there and just have fun with my guys, compete, and win games, and everything they said too as well. New guys to emerge, and shout out Coach Moore.
Yep.
Shout out
Coach Moore. Coach Moore.
He's a player's coach.
Sure
you
is.
guys are players that care about your coach. I love that.
Look at it.
And by the way, I did say it before on the air, but I should say it on the air. The best combination of suits that we've had on the set in 3 days. So looking good, gentlemen.
Stay in Liberty.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Looking forward to be on your campus for camp next month.
I appreciate it.
All right, the Michigan Wolverines.
Go Blue.
As we welcome you back to Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis, you heard from Jedd Fisch there in that nice little montage, and you're going to hear from Jedd Fisch here on our set. Pleased to have you with us, Coach. And you and I visited in Washington this summer in your office, and we were talking about what a strange spot it is for you, because you're at a new school, you're in a new league, you've had massive turnover with this team, and yet the expectations are so high because of what happened last year, a team that played for the national championship. So how do you go about setting expectations for this season internally and externally?
Yeah, well, we're excited about being a part of the Big Ten, and we're excited about all the change that's coming our way. Our team's fired up about getting started here in a couple days and start seeing how good we can become. But we're not talking too much about expectations. I like to remind the team that we're not preseason top 25. I saw someplace we're not preseason top 50. That's all fine and dandy. I think it's a lot because no one knows our team.
Yeah.
Our massive turnover came from the NFL. We wound up losing 13 players to the NFL, 10 of which were drafted. So when you have that type of change with 13 players and then 3 more are moving on to try to become undrafted free agents, on top of that, you got 16 guys declared and then 4 or 5 that transferred out. We got a brand new team, and we know that our expectation is just to play really, really hard and really, really good and then see what happens.
You know this league well. You've been on the staff at Minnesota and then Michigan when Jake was there. As a player, in what ways do you think familiarity with the conference can help you as you make this adjustment?
I think the biggest thing for me is that I can explain to our guys what's it like to play at Penn State for a whiteout. What is it like to play at Kinnick Stadium? We're going to Iowa this year. Prepare them for playing at Rutgers. Prepare them for what's Indiana, field looks like and where the locker room is going to be, and kind of talk through some of those things. Yeah. But also, you just have to experience it too. And the cool part about being in the Big Ten, I was in there in 15 and 16. I was there 09. I mean, those are a lot of years ago. And in between that time, I had a chance to coach in the NFL and coach in the Super Bowl and, be at Arizona. So I think we're just at a spot right now where we're just going to embrace every moment and learn from it.
Coach, since there's been so many new talented, new people coming into your program, are there things that you go out and want to do to try to bring the continuity together, to bring your team together and make sure they're cohesive at the end?
Yeah, we're doing about every team building activity that you possibly can do. I think we've tried to we're doing a luau at the lake on Saturday. We've rented boats. We've done bowling. We've done leadership council activities. We have something called Mind Time, where once a week we get together for an hour in our 5th quarter Life After Football room and try to get to know each other as people. Like, that's the most important thing we can do, is get to know one another and really try to understand each other so we can play hard for one another. And building personal relationships is what's key for us right now.
Coach, I remember back at Michigan when you were sharing with our team kind of how you started your journey. And you didn't really come from like a decorated football background. And you leave Post-it notes on Steve Spurrier's windshield. Yeah. Basically, until you could not be denied anymore. And that's how you got it kicked off. And from there, your career has taken off. You had the clear vision, your hunger, your competitive nature. I'm just curious, where this mindset and refusal to be denied started from, and how do you use it as a coach today?
Well, the biggest thing for me, Jake, as as a coach, is honesty, right, and transparency. And what I've tried to do is, when I coach you and anyone I've ever coached, is I want them to know my story. I want them to get to understand me and where I came from and why I'm doing what I'm doing and how we got here. And we don't try to fake anything. We don't try to make up anything. And so it's important for them to understand, or for you guys to understand. Like, it wasn't easy to get into this business, and it wasn't easy to, leave Post-it notes on Coach Spurrier's. But it really came from making a decision that this is what I wanted to do. And I've told our guys, if you're determined, then you find a way. And, that's really what our mentality is going to be. Like, I'm not going to want to hear excuses from our team. Like, hey, we've got 21 starters gone, or hey, we have brand new staff or brand new systems. Like, find a way. And we did it. We did it at Arizona when everyone told us we couldn't do it. They said, there's no way. Why are you leaving the Patriots to go to Arizona? We found a way. And we found a way to have the 2nd longest win streak in college football behind Michigan right now. And our goal is to do the same thing, and it's really based on that refuse to lose mentality.
Was that part of the presentation for Will Rogers?
Oh, yeah, Will learned. Part of the presentation, most of the presentation for Will was, I can just tell you what an NFL quarterback looks like, so if you want to be an NFL quarterback, you should come here. Plain and simple. There's a lot of people that can say they've coached guys that have gotten in the NFL. There's not a lot of guys that can say they've coached guys in the NFL. That's a difference. And if you want to know what the game looks like, and you want to know what a draft room conversation actually is, or if you want to know what a mini camp actually is going to look like, if you want to be prepared for an NFL playbook, then you can't go to other schools. There's only a few you can go to. And you should choose to come here because of that. And you should choose to, pull your name back out of the portal for that moment in time, because there is no better opportunity for you than right here.
Well, one of the things they do in the NFL is there's helmet communications, with the quarterback. That's going to be a new change here at the college football level next fall. Just curious, operationally, what that looks like from you. What will be different from Arizona last year to now adding in those helmet communications this fall?
Well, the biggest difference I would say is I get to talk to them instead of signal. I call the game, right? So I'm calling the plays. So for me to be able to give maybe a reminder, hey, remember now, if 56 walks out there, that's going to tell you it's man coverage. Don't miss that opportunity, rather than hope that everything you put on a tip sheet that all you 18 to 22-year-olds remember. I think that it's a situation where we also can help them get ready for that next level of, getting maybe an alert or a kill put into a game, a call. And so they understand, like, hey, this is what it's going to sound like. This is how it's going to come through my ear if I was at, the Rams, the Bears, the Dolphins, the 49ers, all the guys, the Falcons. We all run the same offense. We all have the same verbiage. So it's an opportunity for those guys to take that into the next level too.
How does that change the communication between player and coach in game? Do the players need to be more attuned to what's going on out on the field anymore because they can come back to the sideline and see it on the tablet or get some of those tips?
Well, it's really interesting now that we have the video tablets on top of the helmet communicator, because now you're talking about with these video tablets, it's like, you can't tell me you did this and then I watch it 2 seconds later and you didn't do it.
At least I had a couple of hours I could tell you I saw this.
Then there's, usually like I saw this and then the game ends, and if you win, you go to sleep, and the next morning you're like, no big deal, you didn't get that right. Now you're talking about a 30-second differential, right? So now you're watching it on a tablet and you're saying that is not what happened, right? The guy spiked in front of your face because you stepped with your wrong foot, not some ridiculous stunt that they came out of midair, right? So I think the tablet will help honest communication. I think it will help us make quicker in-game adjustments. But, part of it too is like, I don't love the tablet thing because – there's part of coaching that is being able to see it and being able to see what's happening and try to have some competitive advantage. Now we're all going to watch it on TV.
I want to ask you about Steve Belichick, your defensive coordinator. And, at the NFL level, it's all about X's and O's. At the college level, there's a recruiting piece too. And you look at Bill, and he kind of has, a certain type of, aura. Maybe not. You wouldn't think Bill. You wouldn't consider Bill as like a great recruiter.
You're
right?
tap dancing around this really well. Yeah.
Go ahead.
He's a curmudgeon.
I don't know really well, but I'm trying. You
Go
get
right
what I'm
down the
saying.
middle.
I'm just curious. How Steve has embraced the recruiting side at the college level, and what you expect for him, X's and O's wise as well.
Yeah. Well. Recruiting-wise, what Steve, and forget just recruiting-wise, I would say as a coach, he is as authentic as it gets. So when you're recruiting a player, they love authenticity because they don't get a lot of it. So if our players talk to recruits and they're like, what's Coach Belichick like? He's real, man. And just what you're getting on the phone, you're not going to get a lot of fluff. You're not going to get a lot of there's not going to be a million questions about how's your girlfriend doing and how's mom and dad and how's this and how's that. He's going to get right to it. He's going to say, do you want to run the Patriots defense? Do you want to be coached in a manner that NFL players get coached? And I want to do that for you. And it's very cut and dry. And that's why I love having him, because he's cut and dry and he's right to the point.
Jedd, Fisch, one last question for you. When we were talking this summer, you said, I'm not really going to know until the guys are sweating next to one another. But I will ask you this. What do you feel best about with your program right now before you start preseason practice?
I feel best really about how much they've embraced learning new systems. Like they've been willing to really get out of their comfort zone. And they've come from being 14-1. And it's hard to just say, well, this offense is now what we're going to do when they've had such success on offense. But they've embraced it, and that's what I appreciate the most.
Jedd Fisch, is a ton of fun. Welcome back to the Big Ten. It's great to see you. And we look forward to seeing the Huskies on the field this year.
All right, for the uninitiated Big Ten fans, if you can go to Seattle and get a game at Husky Stadium, you got to do it. One of the greatest traditions at the greatest setting in all of college football. Sailgating at Husky Harbor, there is nothing like it. Carson, Bruener, Jonah, Coleman, Kamren, Fabiculanan joining us. The team that went to the national championship game a year ago and is now starting a new era under first-year head coach Jedd Fisch and in the Big Ten. Gentlemen, welcome to the Big Ten. Welcome to the Big Ten Network.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You were saying when you walked in, it felt a little bit more real seeing your logo next to all those other ones. What's it been like the last couple
years? Obviously I'm used to the Pac-12. That's something that I grew up kind of watching, being from the West Coast and being a part of this Washington Huskies football team. I mean, I'm used to the Pac-12, so then coming and actually making the transition over the Big Ten didn't really hit until we came in. We were talking about the jerseys all lined up and walking through and seeing all 18 teams and all their jerseys. It was one of those where like, all right, this is real now.
It is. It is real now, and I think there's a lot to get to and a lot of excitement about the games that you guys are going to play this year and what this next iteration of Husky football looks like. But, Cam, I think about what you guys were able to do last year, and it was such a magical run. I was lucky enough to be there for all of those big games and the Pac-12 championship, and then you go win the Sugar Bowl, and then you make it to the national title game. When you look back, a lot has happened since then. When you look back, how will you reflect on the 2023 season?
Yeah, it was special. I mean, the bond, the brotherhood that we built within that team is a special one, and I love every single one of those guys, you know, the guys who moved on and the guys who are still on the team. And, you know, going into this year, we plan on building that same brotherhood and doing the same thing and making a run for it.
So many new faces on the roster, including the guy who's brought all the bling and the sparkle to the set, and Jonah Coleman. You come with Jedd Fisch from Arizona. Pac-12 fans know you well, and Big Ten fans are about to know you pretty well. First and foremost, tell me how this outfit came together, because it's fantastic.
So honestly, my suit guy, he had. I walked in the building, and then I seen this right here, and I was like, okay, we can go, start off from this, and then, I tapped in with my guys. Kick Blast, they used to give me all the exclusive shoes, so. They showed me these Labins with the sparkles on. I was like, okay, we're going to start there. And then I knew I wanted to wear my jewelry, so I was like, okay, my jewelry got sparkles too, so just everything just going to go together because it got sparkles. So
you got that shine.
You got that shine. Simple.
Next year, I'm going to see if we can request like a see-through part of the desk down here so that everybody can see the shoes, because there's some phenomenal kicks going on. John, I'm curious for you, because, and I'll ask these guys about Jedd Fisch in a minute, but you played for him at Arizona. You saw what he was able to do in that program, the culture he was able to instill, how fast he flipped that thing around. The decision to come with him to Seattle, how did you make it, and what do people need to know about Jedd Fisch?
It was just kind of the decision that I made when I committed to him in high school when he was 1-11. It was just always that vision that he had, trusting the process, being in the pro system. It's just all that falls in line. When I found out he left, it was no question that I was coming with him, just because the relationship that we got, and along with Coach Graham as well, and they even brought the strength staff. So it's like everyone that we built something with is just went along, and I just know the relationship that we had. So I came along, but being coached by Jedd Fisch is great. He's going to expect a lot out of you. He's going to push you to heights that you didn't even know that you can go. He's for the players. He's for the community. If you ask these guys, how's it been with Coach Fisch since he's been here, they tell you everything has improved. The food, the training room, the facilities being remodeled. So Coach Fisch is just for the players, whatever we need, and whatever you think that we need to be the best we can be, he's going to provide it for us. So that's one of the things that I love about him. And another thing I would say is the family culture that we have. His family is always around, Coach's family always around, and that's why we're so connected. And it's a bond with us. So I love him. That's my guy.
I love that, and it's a great answer. And I will ask these two guys, because I think a lot of your teammates left. Some of them went to the NFL. Some of them transferred to other programs. It was a rocky time. You guys go to the national championship game. I know it was an emotional roller coaster. All my friends who are Husky fans are not knowing what to do. Then Jedd Fisch comes in. He gets hired late. The process for you grew up as a Husky, and I know that this program means so much to you. The decision to come back and the vision that Jedd Fisch sold you on, what was it?
Yeah, coming back was a no-brainer. I grew up a Husky fan, season ticket holders. My dad played, my mom cheered. I'm the 8th, 9th in a row to go to UW, including my cousins and uncle. So it's always been a family school for me, but it's always been the best fit for me. I knew going through the recruiting process that when I visited Washington, even though I already loved Washington, loved watching them play, that it actually fit me the way I wanted to go, and like basically the fit that I wanted out of high school, they did it perfectly. So coming in, but then obviously now with the whole new coaching change, Coach Fisch coming in, but I've built a good relationship with Coach Fisch so far, and I see his vision, and that's something I wanted to buy into and stay back for.
Yeah. How about you, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, meeting Coach Fisch for the first time is a cool experience. I mean, I went up to his office, had a good talk with him, and just getting to know him, building that relationship with him and his staff, and just getting to know the new players coming in, getting to know all the Arizona guys, all the transfers, all the incoming freshmen. I think it's been fun.
You guys mentioned the staff, and again, we can talk about Jedd Fisch all day long because he is a terrific coach, and the proof is in the pudding of what he's been able to do. But when you got a guy like Steve Belichick, and you got a guy, I mean, the names that are on your roster, Carroll, I mean, Pete Carroll showing up at campus, Bill Belichick showing up in his hoodie. What is it like to learn, and specifically let's start with Steve Belichick, his system and what he is going to do and how you fit into it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's been in the NFL for his whole career, and him coming to college ball and to the University of Washington, he's still learning the ins and outs of it. But I mean, our defense is going to be our defense. We're going to stay death row, and we're just going to keep continuing that tradition and pride.
How about Brennan Carroll, who's one of the true characters in all of college football?
Coach Carroll is definitely a character. It's never a dull moment with him. You know, just walking around the facility, he might jump at you. You know, he's crazy, but that's my guy. It's been great learning from him. You know, I had a great relationship with him too in the recruiting process. So he was one of the main factors why I came to. He's seen the vision. He dials it up, and you know, we make things happen. So
you do make things happen. You made a lot of things happen at Arizona in your 2 years there, and I think you were just so fast. And I think people are going to be surprised by your speed. Were you always a running back? Was that growing up? Was that your position as a kid?
When I first started, I played receiver, and then one game the running back came late, so they was like, Jonah, go to running back. So I've been a running back.
You've been a running back ever since. Good move. When this program made it to the national championship, and you guys had this historic year, you win 14 games, and now there is so much change. And I think people are really curious, like, what is it going to look like? There's so many new pieces. So from your perspective, as a guy who's been through a lot of different change and been through some highs and some lows, what are you expecting? What can fans expect when you guys play your season opener?
Yeah, I would say one thing the fans can expect is the same Washington football that they grew up watching, winning culture, winning tradition, us going out there and playing 100% and playing our best. That will never change. We can get a new coach, we can get new players, we can have a new stadium. It won't matter because the rich culture that University of Washington has, that winning culture, is something we're going to continue to carry on.
Anything you'd add to that?
Nah, I mean, he said it all. I think the tradition, the culture, it won't change at all. And we love Husky Nation, and just seeing them out there every Saturday, you know, 70,000 deep, and it's just a fun experience.
Every time we would go to Husky Stadium, it felt like, I just said, this is one of the big-time places in all of college football. I mean, it just feels, you can feel it when you walk in. And we showed some of the images off the top, but can you describe the sailgating experience? Because it is truly one of the most unique things. I know you've never gotten to do it. Well, maybe you did growing up, but it is really one of those things. I kind of wish that you guys could experience this on game day because it's magical.
Yeah, I mean, I see it kind of pulling up when we go across 520 on our team buses, everyone out there on their boats. I've seen videos. I personally have never been able to sailgate, even when I was growing up, coming to every Husky game. But it seems and sounds like just an unreal experience. Everyone that I know that has done it absolutely loves it. And it's something that if you haven't got the opportunity to do yet, I would highly recommend.
Should we talk to Jedd Fisch about trying to get you guys sailgating at some point? Like, is there a way we could make this happen?
Absolutely.
That's how you roll in.
Sure. Absolutely.
New arrival. Yeah. You mentioned your dad. One of the coolest things ever was you wearing his jersey in the national championship game, his Rose Bowl jersey. So give us the backstory. You said you grew up a Husky fan, but tell us who your dad is.
Yeah, so my dad, Mark Bruener, he played tight end 91 to 94. Drafted first round of the Steelers, played there 9 years, and then Texans for 5. But he really left his mark and left his name in the Husky history books. And coming to University of Washington, it's been a dream of mine for a while. So when I did that, I knew that I had a lot of things to live up to because of what he did. One thing that we always talked about, though, is that this is my life, this is my journey, and I'm going to build my own path, my own career. He did amazing things, but I'm my own self, so I kind of got to do that on my own. So, but when we got to play in the national championship game, he won the national championship in '91 against Michigan when they played in the Rose Bowl, and he had his game jersey framed. So we kind of talked the week prior and kind of made it happen. So we took it out of the frame, brought it with him, gave it to me the day before. I put it on, walked through the hotel, got to see my family, give them a hug before we went off to the stadium. And then walking through the stadium, I grew up also going to Texans game when my dad played there. So I looked up and saw where we sat as kids, and it really was a full circle moment for sure. And that jersey on top really helped.
That is just such an amazing story, and I think about the pressure that you must have felt, but also like the recognition in the moment of that full circleness. And I cannot even imagine for your dad what it was like for him watching you in that jersey and being able to go out on that stage. All right, I can't not ask you about Will Rogers, the quarterback that everybody's excited to see. I thought you thought I was going to get all the way to the end, and no, I didn't. So, Cam, we'll start with you. What have you seen? What can we expect from this quarterback?
I mean, Will's my guy. He's a competitor. He wants to win. He's obsessed with the game. I think he just shows everything that our offense needs to win.
I would say the same. Will's my guy right there. That's my guy. Like Cam said, he's obsessed with it. Like every little detail to him, matters. And I feel like it's great for our team to have someone like that leading, in the offense. Like I said, every detail matters. Everything has to be perfect for him. He's hard on himself. He's hard on me. I'm hard on him. So it's great to have someone like that around.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to let you finish with the very last one. We've got time for last one. You guys have a lot of great games on your schedule, and you're playing some new teams, the whiteout game at Penn State, which is going to be phenomenal. But you end the season at Oregon. And for maybe Big Ten fans who don't understand what this rivalry is all about, how would you describe the Oregon-Washington rivalry?
Yeah. Honestly, it's hard to describe.
It is hard to
describe. Because it obviously our real rival, Washington State, being the Apple Cup. But over the last few years and what I've been going to Husky games and witnessing and now playing against Oregon, that almost seems like more of a rivalry.
Yeah.
Both us and Oregon have been great teams over the past few years. We've had great competition and great games against each other. Obviously, we got them the last 3 times, and they're going to want to get us back at their home stadium down in Autzen. But it's something where it's really unlike. It's really, I can't even describe it.
You
to be
can't.
honest.
There are no words to
yeah.
describe. It is intense.
But it's fun. I love it.
It
I
is
love
fun,
it.
exactly. And like you said, you've gotten their number the last 3 times, and that's going to be a phenomenal finish. But you guys officially join the Big Ten August 2nd. We will be on campus for the Training Day show. Terrific catching up with you guys.
Thank you
so much
for
Wishing
having
you the
us.
best.
We continue on Big Ten Media Days. Great to have you with us back in Indy. Dave Revson, Howard Griffith, Jake Butt, and the coach of the Hoosiers, Curt Cignetti. Coach, we heard you talking there to the media and talking about your expectations for this program. So let's get right into it. And I think one of the things that you've made clear as you've talked about your time as a head coach is that each place you've gone, you have improved it in year 1. IUP, you did it. Elon, you did it. JMU, you did it. So what are your expectations? What's the blueprint for improving this program in year 1 at Indiana?
I mean, really pretty simple. Improve as much as possible every single day. It's a process. We're very much process-oriented. I've approached this job a little different than the other ones with some of my public comments for reasons. But, be where your feet are, control the controllables, every minute, every hour, every rep, one play at a time, high standards, expectations, accountability throughout. We got a certain way we want to play and, improve as much as possible on a daily basis.
When you say you've approached it differently for certain reasons, what are the reasons that you've chosen to approach it differently?
Well, in just 3 seasons ago, Indiana's touchdown away from winning the Big Ten, right?
Right.
But, 3 seasons ago seems like 3 decades ago in this society, right, to give it to me now society. So there was a general atmosphere out there that IU was not only a tough job, but like an impossible job, right? You hear that a little bit. Mm-hmm. And, I wanted to see if the fan base was, dead or just on life support. So there's 17,000 people in a basketball game. They bring you out there, and my job is, to get them going. So, the Purdue comment was pretty easy, right? But why stop there? It's an expectation level and a mindset.
Right.
So, hey, when you get to be my age, you sort of lose your filter a little bit anyhow, right? And, it is what it is. So, whatever.
How do you see those things show up in the off-season workouts as far as your team and building that chemistry with them, and also having those guys have that confidence that they can go out and turn this thing around like that?
Yeah, well, one of the things I'm fortunate is I've had great staff continuity. So the guys that are in positions of leadership, defensive coordinator Bryant Haynes, 10 years. Not always a coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Shanahan, offensive coordinator, 9 years. Same story, not always a coordinator. Strength and conditioning coordinator Derek Owens spends more time with than any of them, going on 5 or 6 with me. They know the blueprint, they know the standard, the expectation level, the accountability, how we do things, and I trust them, which makes the transition process smoother.
Mm-hmm.
December was turbulent. 10 guys in the portal the day I step on campus. I didn't know that when I took the job. They didn't tell me, but I wouldn't have told me either. But, we brought 22 new guys in at the end of December, all conference, 2 3-year starters, production numbers, high character. We flipped the roster in 3 weeks. The January part, spring ball and all that was smoother. New offense, new defense. How do you practice? What are your expectations, standards? By practice 5, it felt like a practice. We got better, but we're not where we need to be. But nobody is right now. Yeah. Everybody's got new guys, and there's a reason you practice in August, right? So what I do in my messaging to the team is I try to say it in as few words as possible so that each word means something. Because once you lose them, it's hard to get them back, right? Now, by the same token, I'm a short practice guy. I've never gone 15 spring practices, never gone 25 fall, right? Like, the NCAA is going to tell me the magic number for fall practice? No. So I want them we got to stay injury-free everywhere I've ever been, right? And feeling as good as possible on Saturday so they can play their best. And how many reps do you need?
I mean, Coach, just hearing you talk, and especially when you get going, you just exude that competitive fire and passion. It gets me fired up a bit, too, and I'm just curious.
He doesn't have any eligibility left.
I have no. I would love to play for you, though. But I'm curious, when this started, how did you become who you are as a head coach?
I was probably always competitive, and then by, year 3 or 4, you're kind of like, okay, I got it. You've cleaned up your mistakes. But I'm all about winning. And winning's not a bad word. We graduate players. Mm-hmm. We develop them as people and students. We do community service. But everything we do is about winning. And everybody's on the same page, coaches and players.
Yeah. You talk about that continuity of the coaching staff, but how about the players that you were able to bring in? How does that help the development of the program as well?
That really accelerated what we were trying to get done from a culture standpoint. Because that was a championship football program. And those were amongst the 10 best players returning on that football team. And that was not the plan when I took the job, but that sort of happened. That's the portal nowadays. Mm-hmm. And if I wouldn't recruit them, somebody else would have. They had other offers. That helped a lot because they led through their actions.
Looking at your 2 quarterbacks, Coach, Curtis Rourke coming in from Ohio University, and you got Taven Jackson, who started a few games last year, just kind of getting a chance to go through spring, go through the summer. What are some of those areas you feel your system is going to allow them to grow and realize their full potential?
Well, our last 4 quarterbacks have all been player of the year in the league, and they were all different. We've had the drop-back guy, the dual-threat guy, and somewhere in between with the other 2. And they all had their skeptics, and they were all one-year guys for me. Okay, I thought Rourke was the best available, played a lot of football, won a lot of games, led a lot of 2-minute drives for touchdowns, threw a lot of touchdown passes, protected the ball, player of the year in the league in 22, got injured, couldn't really train for 23, still had a decent year. He's in great shape now. He had a tremendous spring, had a great summer. He knows how to play quarterback, and he can get you back to 2nd and 10 when he's in a bad spot. So, first 4 days back, you're looking at all your spring cut-ups. Mm-hmm. I'm watching him close, and I'm very impressed with what he's done. Feel good about him. Taven's improved and still has areas he's got to improve.
One thing that I think is really interesting is we've seen this trend recently in college football of coaches having a lot of success coming from lower levels. Kalen DeBoer is an obvious one. Lance Leipold, Willie Fritz. You're in a similar situation, right? You're someone who has won at lower levels. What do you learn at those lower levels when you're winning and winning as consistently as you have that you believe can translate to a league like the Big Ten?
Yeah, I don't know exactly, to be quite honest with you. I think you become a little humbled. I mean, I used to clean the staff table Thanksgiving week, first week of the playoffs, because nobody else was working, before the staff meeting, take the garbage out. And then you work your way up, and football is football, right? Football's football. It takes what it takes. But what you do is you get years under your belt, years of success, and out of that comes confidence and belief, which in this game is a good thing. Look, the margin of error in football, the greatest game in the world, by the way, is about like that, okay? And look across the country, how many of these games are decided by one score? You got to win those one-score games. And that's the edge all of us coaches are looking for, but that's what we've been really good at places I've been.
Yeah. I think everyone wants to have the very best facilities out there. And when you go into the transfer portal, there are coaches that have said, you know what, I'm going to go to lower levels and bring guys up, because then they can understand where the opportunity that they have as far as facilities are concerned. Have you noticed any change like that from your players, just being more appreciative of what they have an opportunity to experience now?
Yeah, I think the transfers, and a lot of them are one-year guys, let's face it. You get a two-year guy, you're ecstatic.
Yeah.
They're just looking for the opportunity because they want to go to the league, right? And they're looking to play on a bigger stage. Production's important to me. I think there's an intangible factor there about a guy that's been a starter, stayed on the field for 12 games, 3 years in a row, and produced for 3 years in a row, right? A stick-to-itiveness, a persistence, kind of guy you got to have. So those are the kind of guys we've recruited.
When you talk about the one-score games, the close games, and I remember even from my time playing against Indiana, we were in some tight battles, double overtime games. Like, looking at this roster, what is the difference? What's going to be the difference maker for your roster, your staff, to win some of those close battles?
Well, you get what you demand. And there's certain things we preach and believe in that leads to success, we believe, in those close games. And it's the old one play at a time, right? We all preach it, 6 seconds of play. Every play's got a life and a history of its own, fast, physical, relentless, smart, disciplined, poised. But the whole purpose of that is you're creating that habit the first practice. So you get in those games at the end, you're not looking at the scoreboard, you're just doing your thing. Let that other guy be affected by the circumstances of the game.
Curt Cignetti, new head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers. Coach, appreciate it. Pleasure to get to know you, and we'll look forward to seeing you in camp.
Great to be here.
I'll tell you what, those Oregon Ducks, they know how to make an entrance. This was Tuesday, the first day of Big Ten football media days, and announcing their presence on the White River with a 65-foot blow-up Oregon Duck. It is perfect. Jeffrey Bassa, Terrance Ferguson, Dillon, Gabriel repping the Ducks here in Indianapolis as you guys make your Big Ten media debut. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I got. Did you guys see the duck? Were you guys able to take that in on your way in, or have you just seen pictures?
Just seen pictures online.
Okay. Did you know it was coming?
No, I did not. No.
Yeah, no, it was a surprise for all of us.
Okay. See, this is what I think the benefit, and you tell me, of playing Oregon football is that the mindset is different. Like, there are kind of some surprises around the corner, and you kind of never know what you're going to get. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. From
That's
week
fair?
to week, our social media team does a great job. So
They do. All right, Dillon, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
I think so many people have so many questions for you, and Duck fans were so excited when you decided to take your 6-year college football and come to Eugene. Your path is interesting. Hawaii, Central Florida, Oklahoma. Why was Oregon the right next stop for you?
Yeah, well, sorry to my parents for all the travel, but no, Oregon was a very easy decision, probably the easiest decision of my life. Just with, the alignment with Coach Lanning, Coach Stein, the conversation that we had immediately. It wasn't a matter of if. It was just how we're going to make it happen. And just appreciate them, appreciate all the boys taking me in. And, these 7 months of working together, it's been a blast.
Well, you've taken them in, too. I saw some footage online. I'm not exactly sure where you were or what was going on, but tell me about this, offsite that it looked like you put together.
Yeah, we put a little dime time retreat together, the third annual, but first for the Oregon Ducks, and we just had a blast, whether it's a throwing session in the morning, even a little lunch at the De La Grange household, or, a jet boat ride where everyone got wet, and then we had a dinner to follow. So we had a blast together, just putting the time in, away from football and mandatory things that we need to do. But we had a lot of fun, and everyone being there, shout out to them.
I want to ask both of you because Bo Nix obviously was such a leader and there was so much cohesion and connection in that locker room last year. How has the assimilation gone? You guys bring in some new terrific pieces. Obviously, the guy sitting next to you is one of those. But what's the feeling in the locker room, maybe even compared to the last year or so?
Yeah, I'll start. I'll take that off.
Yeah.
So I think really the main thing this year, there's really no difference. There's really no fall off. I think the main thing this year is we're even more connected. Guys are hanging out with each other more outside the facility. So whenever you leave the facility, someone's always hanging out with each other. Like these two are best friends. I'm best friends with a lot of the guys on the defensive line and some of the guys in the back end. So I would really say the connection of the team.
I love that. What kind of ball does Dillon throw?
He throws a great ball, but I think what makes him special is really off the field, like Jeff kind of alluded to. Since he got here, me and him have hit it off, and he's done that with everybody. I've said to everybody, he's best friends with the kicker, the walk-on, everybody in between, because he cares about everybody. I think that's what makes him such a special person, as he's such a good guy off the field.
Not to cut this guy off, but fun story. I'm texting T-Ferg, kind of hiding my phone. So my girlfriend, she's like, "Who are you texting?" I said, "I'm trying to figure out what time me and T-Ferg are throwing," but I showed her the phone. She's like,
She saw the love in your eyes as you were texting. All right, find yourself a quarterback that looks at you the way that Dillon looks at Terrance. I like that. Well, you had a decision to go to the NFL or to stay and come back, and so what went into that, and ultimately, what is the goal for you this year?
I did have that decision. I was blessed enough to have that decision. I prayed about it. The Lord put it on my heart to come back, and it makes it easy to come back when there's guys like this and all the transfers and the people that we have returning like Jeff, and all these guys start to stack up of returning, and we all have the same goal. We all want to win a national championship. That's what we came back to do. There's no expectation of anything else. That's all we're coming back to do. So I think it made it easy when you have the talent and the guys coming in that have that mindset.
Well, I did bury the lead here. You had the biggest off-season acquisition of everyone. You got engaged this summer?
I did get just this last Sunday.
This last Sunday?
Yeah, so we're...
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And your beautiful bride's name?
Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah.
Lucky lady.
Yeah.
How did that come together? Were you nervous?
It came together good. We there's a
Look
good
at that.
I kicked my coverage. This is Telluride, Colorado. It came together good. I'm not a great planner. Her family, her sisters, all kind of helped out and kind of carried the boat a little bit because I'm just a roll with the flow kind of guy. And it ended up going out perfect, and I couldn't ask for a better day.
Amazing. I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's exciting. Dillon, your ability to handle the expectations and the pressure that come with, you haven't even had a snap yet at Oregon and you're a Heisman favorite. So how do you handle that? What's the mentality? Because it seems like nothing gets to you. I've known you for 5 minutes, and I can tell you've got that it factor.
Yeah, hype is cheap. Talk is cheap. Everything that everyone's talking about preseason is extremely cool and exciting, and I acknowledge that. But, for the most part, it's what have you done for me lately? And I'm focused on the now, the moment, being the best version of myself for these guys, the guys that in Eugene right now, and that's all we're focused on. So just taking it one day at a time, it's good, and I know that, down the road if we focus on team and everything that, comes with that, then the individual accolades will come.
So I'm listening to the Y Option podcast with Yogi Roth the other day, and he had a terrific interview with you, and you told the story of how you came to wear number 8, which, as Oregon Duck fans know, that was what Marcus Mariota wore, who is a quarterback that I know you grew up watching and admiring. So can you share that story?
Yeah, I remember being in the equipment room with Kenny Farr and on my visit, and we were talking about numbers, and, number 8 came up, and, I gave a little quick text to Marcus. Just wanted his blessing. He said absolutely. But I wear it with great honor and privilege, but it's always a reminder that I represent more than just myself. And 10 years later, another quarterback from Hawaii is repping number 8. So it's a huge reminder of what I represent and, the University of Oregon, Marcus Mariota.
Love that. Great answer. Jeff, I think about your journey, and, you make an immediate impact as a freshman, and you just continue to grow. Your defensive MVP of the Fiesta Bowl. I know you're hungry for more, and I know the job is not done yet. Can you try to describe the edge and the mentality of Oregon's defense?
Yeah, I would for sure have to say just relentless and nasty. I think Coach Lupoy does a great job, and Coach Lanning coming together with 2 great defensive minds coming together, they just have seen it all, right? So now it's just them instilling that into our mindset, into how we approach every day, right? And I think we have the players in the room to do that as well. So especially with me being a leader on the defense, I think that's also my job to let people know, since I've been here for all 4 years, let people know, like, okay, this is how we do stuff and this is how we're going to run it. So
There's been some people I've heard in the last couple of days talking about that maybe the question is up front on the D-line. There is a group of second-year guys who are the real deal. Can you kind of walk us through what you expect to see up front on that line?
Yeah, I think we brought in a lot of great talent with Jamari Caldwell, Derek Harmon coming in from Michigan State, as well as, Keon Ware-Hudson being a key returner. And I think those guys on the edge as well are going to be great for us as well. And, there's really not going to be no fall-off. I know we lost a couple of seniors last year, and I know that those are some big boys up front. And I know they're mean and nasty, and they're ready to get to work.
You also pick up a guy in Jabbar Muhammad in the secondary. I'm just going to ask you about, does he make your life hard in practice?
He does. We go after it. We've had a bunch of fun competing, but, just his skill set, type of person he is. He's great in the locker room, and we need that kind of guy just around us. So.
Yeah, I think that he's, when he comes over from Washington, and I know he kind of tormented you guys. We just had the Husky players on the set before this, and they were talking about the rivalry with Oregon and Washington, because I think for Big Ten fans who don't know, I mean, they know you guys are rivals, but I don't know if they know how deep and intense it is. Can you describe, in your words, how you guys feel about the Ducks?
Yeah, so if you're driving in the state of Oregon wearing purple, you're not welcomed, and it's the same over there, right? So, whether that's we're playing over there and they're throwing stuff at our bus or doing stuff to our hotel or whatever, and they're over here and our fans are doing stuff to them, it's vice versa. It's real bad blood between the two schools. So
there's no love lost. There's no love lost between those two. All right, a lot of Big Ten fans who are getting to know you guys, I think they're excited to understand more, and I think a lot of them I've talked to, what's Autzen Stadium like, and what's Eugene like, and I tell them that the grass is damn green, as Dan Lanning says. What do people need to know? And I'll ask this for each of you, even though you're newer to the program, but I feel like you've got the feel and the culture down. What do people need to know about Oregon football, especially in 2024?
Yeah, I think just tenacious, disciplined, very energetic, love the game of football, but are very competitive, and we have a very clear vision of what we want to do, and we're focused on winning. And I think just with that ability, I know on offense, it would be high pace, very explosive, and very efficient. So,
yeah, pretty much like what he said. We're going to be explosive. We're going to be fast. I think a big thing that people don't know about us, we're going to be tough. We're going to be physical. We're going to run the ball well, and we're going to take pride up front. And the defense is going to handle business. I think a lot of people overlook that, being a West Coast Pac-12 team. But we run the ball and we do it good. So I think that's something that some people don't know about us.
Yeah, just like how Terrance was talking about, like our defense, I think nowadays with people seeing Alabama and Georgia as the top defenses, like Oregon is trending in that direction, right? So with our success that we had last year, I think that this program is headed in the right direction defensively. And obviously we know offensively they're going to be explosive, right? But our defense is going to be nasty. We're going to take the ball away, and we're going to make you pay. So
yeah, I think people keep asking what's the style of play, and these teams coming from the West Coast, and I think they're going to find out pretty soon. Last thing before we let you go, if you could ask Dan Lanning any question and he had to answer it honestly, what would you ask him?
Ooh, wow, that's a good one. You want to take this one, Dillon? Want to go first?
That's hard. Don't put this one on me.
I can. Well, this is the test to see how good you are under pressure. I mean, you can talk about it, but.
Okay.
I got a hard question for him.
Okay, all right.
What was his favorite stop? And it can't be coaches speak, political answer. I want the real, favorite stop and what.
Favorite place he's coached, you mean?
And then, all aspects, food, living.
Okay. Not just the team, because clearly his favorite team is the one that's sitting right here. Yeah, of course. All right, what would you ask him?
I'd probably ask him why we go full pads every day. He likes that one a lot. Mod bracket every Tuesday.
Autumn drills. I would ask him, does he dress himself or does his wife dress him? Because some days he comes in the facility a little questionable. So, yeah.
Like some days he's bringing it and some days he's not.
Yeah.
Okay. See, now you guys just did Dave Revson's work for him because Dan Lanning's going to be on the set and Dave's going to be able to ask him all these questions. It's terrific to see you guys, and I know it feels a little bit more real probably now to be in the Big Ten than it did before, but August 2nd is the first official day that Oregon will be in this conference. We'll be out on your campus August 3rd for our training camp show. So looking forward to that.
Let's go. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Are we going to get to go on like the water rides and all that? When we come out? Are you going to
Maybe if
take
you bring
us?
the duck, we can have a party on the duck
Okay, I'll
in the river. And then
we'll
we can
bring
all
the duck.
enjoy.
You bring the party. We'll see you in Eugene in a week.
The University of Oregon has taken a subtle and understated approach to announcing its entrance into the Big Ten. Okay, that's not actually true. They had a 65-foot tall duck floating down the White River here in Indianapolis. The Ducks are fired up to be in the Big Ten, and we are fired up to have them and fired up to have the head coach of the Ducks, Dan Lanning, with us. Coach, what excites you the most about joining a new conference?
Oh, man, there's so many things. It's hard to pick one thing. Obviously, being affiliated just with this conference, the history, the storied traditions, having a clear vision of what our future looks like. You know, being a part of something where you're talking about teams that compete for championships and getting to compete against those places. And then just seeing what our team looks like this year. I'm really excited about the group we have, excited to see what they do on the field.
You're not the only one who's excited about them. I mean, you look at publications throughout the country, you'd really be hard-pressed, honestly, to find one that doesn't have Oregon among the top contenders for the college football playoff this year. It speaks volumes about the group you've put together. I'm always interested, though, in the handling of expectations. And how do you convey to your players? What is the message as you start a season where basically everyone is saying this ought to be one of the elite teams in college football?
Yeah, the great thing about college football is you still have to play the games, right? It really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, and the only people that really truly affect that are the players on that team and the coaches. So that's our focus. How can we control our destiny? You do that by focusing on what's right in front of you, not what's way off in the horizon.
Coach, you are an expert in changing conferences. So as you look at the SEC to the Pac-12 and now to the Big Ten, are there really differences between the three conferences?
There's certainly differences within each conference. I would say that, but I don't think there's a difference in what winning football looks like. And that's the part that, we're building a team for what it takes to win, ball games at the end of the year, what that stretch looks like, and the formula for that. And the truth is you want to be great at every position, right? You want to be a team that can work outside and can throw the ball and run the ball well, a team that can stop the run and do a good job in the passing defense. So what winning football looks like is not really different. Is there some small differences with each conference? Absolutely.
Do you see any differences, small differences from Pac-12 and the Big Ten?
Well, I think, you look at the last few years in the Big Ten, they've played great defense, but maybe not as explosive from an offensive perspective, right? Maybe not some of the same speed on the outside that's existed maybe in the Pac. Quarterback play has been different in the two conferences. But I think that's all starting to mold together because you look at the teams that we've added to this conference, and now you're adding some teams that have had some great quarterback play, certainly some diversity in scheme, which I think both conferences really had. So it's always been known as a physical conference in the Big Ten, but I'm really excited to see some of the fireworks that come along with that.
When you got the job at Oregon, you talked about the DNA traits of your team. First one being connection, growth, toughness, and sacrifice in that order. You talked about your staff and taking them on a staff retreat, entering this new conference. Take us inside some of the elements with this staff that you have and what you guys did just, I guess, day ago, right? You finished it up?
Yeah, just a couple days ago. We take time in the morning. We really focus on, our expectations this season. I try to, really give a good, clear picture of what I want from them as coaches. And then what do they need from me? What does our organization need? And then what do our players need? And what do I expect their units to perform like? And then in the afternoon, we really spend time fellowshipping with each other, whether it's floating down the Deschutes, or eating a great steak together at night. It's just an opportunity for us to connect outside of just that ball and that work that we do in the building.
What's the biggest challenge having you've got Gabriel coming in as the quarterback in the portal type of quarterback? Can they learn fast enough?
Oh, he certainly can.
No, he can, but in general.
I think anytime that there's transition, the challenge for you as a coach is to figure out what are your players' strengths and what can you lean into for them. And that's something that great high school coaches do, right? They figure out what's their team good at, and let me put them in positions to do that. The great thing about Dillon is he's a guy that can do a lot of things really well. So he fits us really well. He has great experience. Seeing him, get kind of encompassed into our system and getting more and more comfortable is something we're excited to see.
When you talk about him, what we call their spring game, you can just tell he's got this edge to him. He's got this connectivity. Well, what's it actually like as you see it in the building every day?
Yeah, it's so fun because I would tell you that Dillon is so different than Bo, who we just had. But what he is authentic. He's a guy that really cares about people. He's tied into the managers on the team and whoever the janitor is walking around the hallway, the other players. When he walks in a room, he's interested in you. He wants to know about you, and it's really authentic and it matters. And I think he learned quickly I need to make sure I can connect with the team first before I try to get out there and be a vocal leader. So it's been fun to watch.
We try to avoid generalizations, as you said, about conferences, but it's interesting. I mean, the last time that Jerry and I saw Oregon play in person was the national championship game, the first year of the college football playoff against Ohio State. And that game, I think we would both say, was a little bit of a line of scrimmage mismatch, right?
Yeah,
Ohio
right.
State was just better on the line of scrimmage. And I think like the generalization, as you were talking about, what do you think about when you think about the Pac-12 versus what do you think about when you think about the Big Ten, has been like line of scrimmage is not as good in the Pac-12. That's different with your team. I mean, you were a great line of scrimmage team last year, both sides of the ball. So for the Big Ten fan who might be stuck 10 years ago with that image of Oregon, help them understand how you've built this program at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, our goal is only to get better there, right? Because you just said it, right? To win the games at the end of the year that matter the most, you have to win in the trenches, right? You have to be able to stop the run and get hard yards when they're necessary, and then affect the pass, affect the quarterback, be able to protect the quarterback. Those things all add up. And there's certainly some teams in this conference that do a great job of it. But to be a team that's staying at the end of the season, that's where you have to win. And we've spent a lot of effort and time in recruiting and developing our roster in those areas. We've been able to pick up some guys that enhance our roster from a portal standpoint. And I'm definitely pumped to see what that looks like come this season.
And I would add Washington won the Joe Moore Award last year for the best offensive line in the country. So I don't believe there is a difference. I'm really anxious to go on the bus tour to check out I think
you'll have to tell us what you see.
I think it's just people want to
Perception.
say it. Yeah, I
Perception.
think it sounds like the thing you should say.
Yeah, we call that a lazy narrative, Coach. So let's talk about the defensive line, because you've got 10 second-year defensive linemen, guys coming off the edge. Tatum Tuioti, Mateo Uyunglele. Right. What has that group done from the first year? A couple of them got a little burn as a true freshman, but now year two, because to these guys' point, I think that is going to be a true strength that doesn't get a lot of play in the preseason.
Yeah, first off, if you want to have great D-line play, you can't be the team that's playing guys 80 plays a game, right? No defensive lineman that's pushing on another 300-pound man is going to be a great player if he's playing 80 snaps. So you have to have depth there, and you have to have experience. And it's one of the hardest positions to translate from high school really to college football, the way you utilize your hands and how much the growth at that position exists. So having guys going into year two, like the two you mentioned, like Amari Washington, like Michael Gardner, right? Having those guys grow up and be able to do a little bit more for us, as well as have some great veteran leadership with some of the guys we were able to bring in and see guys like Jordan Birch grow and some of these other guys in the front, Keon Ware Hudson. Those are things that are going to pay off for us in the future.
Coach, not just your team, but your fellow coaches, are there any indications that the players can't handle all the changes that are going on? Or
no, players are adaptable, right? When you look at college football right now, how could you not be excited about what exists, right? I think the game's as exciting as it's ever been. Is there a lot of changes or a lot of things happening? Yeah, but it's a lot easier on the players than it is the coaches, I'll tell you that.
I'd imagine that every Big Ten fan, when they watch you guys, they think of the swoosh as well. Talk a little bit about, if you can, the relationship with Phil Knight and his impact on this program from the moment you got there through maybe today. You might have talked to him. Who knows?
Yeah, I would tell you this. Oregon is Nike and Nike is Oregon. You're talking about an athlete and his coach founding a company. And the story of that, anybody that hasn't read the book Shoe Dog, they have to jump into it because it tells such a great story of where Nike came from and where they're at now and the innovation that was required. There's a lot of things that we want to build our program off of based off of some of those principles that Nike really created, and some of those being changed and being different. And mighty different, something we're kind of stepping behind this year because that's how we want to be. And I think if you look at Nike's approach, that was certainly something that was mighty different, and they've done a phenomenal job.
I had the experience to be up on Nike's campus for the first time. I told you we were doing an interview in anticipation of Oregon joining the league, and what an amazing place that is. It is really remarkable, and to see how intertwined it is with the university. Autzen Stadium's an amazing place, too, for Big Ten fans who might not understand Autzen Stadium. Give them a sense of what a game there's like.
Oh, you're going to have some fun. The fans are incredible. It's one of those places where they don't sit down very often. They're going to be standing up a lot. When the third quarter wraps up, you're going to hear this song called Shout Come On, and there's going to be some people that go crazy. So it's a great environment for college football. They're passionate about their team, and it makes it for a lot of fun for the players that are on the field.
Coach, who are your mentors?
I've got a few. I've got a lot. My dad, first of all, right? Certainly a mentor for me. But working for guys like Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Mike Norvell, Todd Graham, I really benefit from quality experience. Some of the people that I got to work with early in my career, and just sit back and watch how they operate. And then being able to have an open line of communication with those guys in the future has been really good for me.
I know mentorship is a big thing at the quarterback position. You referenced on the podium earlier that you went golfing with Dillon Gabriel, and Marcus Mariota was also golfing. Dillon's wearing his number. What have you noticed about their connection coming from Hawaii and the mentorship from Marcus to not only Bo and now Dillon?
Well, Marcus is such a humble person. He's family-oriented, and he accomplishes so many things. But if you meet him, you'd feel like you're meeting somebody that doesn't stand with his accomplishments in front of him. He's just a great human. And I think that speaks to a lot of the way that Dillon wants to operate. He wants to know you as a person first. Obviously, there's a lot of admiration and respect. I think Dillon was telling me first time I met Marcus, I was in 4th grade or 5th grade. Hearing that story from him and then seeing those guys get to connect is really cool.
I was talking to Will Stein this summer, and he was telling me about the great lengths that Dillon has gone to connect with his teammates, help people understand some of what he's done.
Yeah, it's hard to put into words how many different things he's done. I've seen him personally, take his offensive players on a retreat in Southern Oregon where they got to spend some time together and play some ball, but also fellowships. Whether it's going to dinner or having the equipment managers over to his house to watch a fight. I mean, this guy does an unbelievable job of saying, "Hey, there's a guy that needs something. You know what? Let me go get dinner with him tonight," and just having the awareness. And the eagerness to go attack that.
Last question for you. What is the one thing that you want Big Ten fans to know about Oregon football that they may not know?
We're mighty different. Get ready. It's going to be fun.
Dan Lanning, head coach of the Ducks. Coach, really appreciate it. Great to talk to you and look forward to working with you here in the years to come.
Getting suited up with the Indiana Hoosiers here. Big Ten Media Days rolling along. The shortest commute for any team here to Lucas Oil Stadium. Mike Katic, the 6-year offensive lineman, looking sharp even though his suit didn't show up. Making do. Justice Ellison, Aiden Fisher, 2 of the many new faces in Bloomington. Gentlemen, welcome to Lucas Oil Stadium. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. How's everybody feeling?
Great. Thank you for having us.
You're looking sharp. You told me that your suit got lost in the mix, but you found something that works.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. And I'm going to start with you because you have the best mustache that I've seen so far in 3 days.
Man.
And I just
Feels
found
good.
out, I'm sorry to lead with this. I was going to save it for the end, but you were a ballet dancer as a child.
Yep.
And gymnastics and figure skating.
Yep. We're starting off with this?
We are leading with
All right,
this
let's
because
rip it.
this is by far my favorite storyline that I've come to find out.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so tell me about your journey and how you fell in love with football.
Well, this is how I started playing football. As embarrassing as it is, I was a ballerina, did gymnastics and figure skated. And then my dad was like, you know what? I've about had it with this. I'm going to sign you up for football. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Well, thank you, Pops, because I know a lot of Indiana fans are glad that you made that transition. It takes a confident man to sit up on live television and say that.
Yeah, you know what? It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? All right, Aiden, let's go to you because you were one of the many players that came over from James Madison with Curt Cignetti. I think a lot of people are excited about the energy and the enthusiasm and the bravado, I think is the word I would use, that he brings. Tell us why you came, what the expectation is around this program with him leading the way.
I would just say the biggest thing was, playing at James Madison with Coach Cignetti, along with Coach Haynes. I was able to find a lot of success with them. Growing over 2 years with them, they put a lot of belief in me to kind of go out and do what I do at a very high level. And I think that's just kind of what they bring to Bloomington as well. A lot of these players are really going to find a lot of success under their schemes and, their regimen here. And I just say there's going to be a lot of excitement coming to Indiana here pretty soon.
What makes him unique? Because I think we've gotten a flavor of his personality, but what makes him unique to play for?
I would just say his approach to the game. He's a very fierce competitor. A lot of people have seen that already. As you watch his interviews, you see the way he coaches on the sideline. It's always business. Business comes first. You keep the main thing. And he finds success no matter where he's at. So I think that's just his biggest thing.
You can Google him, and you'll find that he's found success wherever he's at. Justice, you were his first transfer portal commit.
Yes, I was.
And you come from Wake Forest, and it didn't seem to take you long to know that Indiana was the right spot. So tell me about your commitment and why you found your way to Bloomington.
I mean, when I hit the portal, it was about me going somewhere and finding business. When I met Coach Cignetti on my first visit, I was like, I don't need to go nowhere else. I took my only visit there on Sunday, and I committed on the spot because I seen in his eyes what he wanted to do. I knew that his mindset was like, I don't need nobody to believe in me. I truly believe in myself. And that
touched my heart because, there was not many people who committed. It was just me. So I had to be bold, I had to be brave, and I had to take a chance and have faith.
And how has it been? How has the transition been for you?
It's been wonderful. He's exactly who he says he is. He's breeded that same thing toward all of us on the team. And the guys are just excited to go out there and play and really showcase what we pretty much have said already.
And you've known Mike Shanahan for a while. Did he try to recruit you?
Yeah, he did. My high school, so he came to my high school my junior year, offered me as a receiver. So, when I hit the portal, I was like, man, I get to come back and play for him again. So
Full circle.
Full circle.
I love that. All right. Well, Mike, back to you because I don't have any more gymnastics or ballet questions for you. We can talk football. 6 year and the decision to come back.
Yeah.
Walk me through how you made it and ultimately what led to you deciding that you needed another year.
Yeah. So, after last season, I declared for the draft. This was something that I thought about before last season. I knew I wanted to do it. And then so I left. I parted ways with Indiana. Coach Cignetti got hired, and I was at home, looking for agents, talking to different agents, and Coach Bostad called me on a, typical Wednesday morning, and he said, hey, any chance, I'm just kicking this around, but would you want to come back and play center possibly? And I was like, maybe. Let me talk to my parents and get Coach Sig on the phone. I'd like to talk to him. And Sig FaceTimed me, and he pitched me his, what he does. He wins. And, I said, I have an opportunity to play center. I have another opportunity to learn under Coach Bostad for another year. Mm-hmm. And I want to win. I had a bad taste in my mouth from last 3 seasons. So I was like, I want to leave this place, on a good note, and I want to leave it better than I found it. And then I talked to my family, my mom and my dad, and it was a pretty easy decision for me. They always wanted me to go back. They
really?
love Indiana. They love, packing up the RV and heading up. It's my dad's favorite thing, and it was an easy decision for me, and I'm so glad I made that decision.
I know a lot of Hoosier fans are glad that you made that decision. Your dad said you can do whatever you want as long as you're not going to go back to ballet.
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
What he said.
Yep.
Yeah, and you mentioned Bostad, who's the only holdover from the previous coaching
Correct.
staff. You left guard is your natural position, but you
Correct.
mentioned you're going to be playing center. So
Yep.
talk to me about the switch, because there's some nuance that people probably don't understand. That
Oh
goes into
yeah,
that.
there's a big difference. Being so comfortable at left guard kind of gave me an opportunity to up my knowledge of the position and the offensive line in general, and learn about defenses and coverages and things like that. And that helped my transition to center a lot, because as a center, you got to identify the Mike, the Sam, the Will. You got to read coverages, read fronts, and all that kind of stuff. So the transition has been smooth. I played center for 4 games in 2021, I believe. So I'm familiar with the position itself. It's just different things that Coach Bostad teaches, and it's just, adjusting to that and, just getting better with it.
Well, that versatility is impressive, but I don't know if you know all the positions that these two guys played in high school. Can you list them all? Because I'm looking at your bios.
Quarterback? Yeah, quarterback, running back, fullback. Nah, I'm just kidding.
You return kicks.
Yeah, I return
you
kicks.
did it all. And
I
Sam,
do.
you played a lot of
Yeah.
positions as well.
I do. I can't say I have a kick return touchdown in my career.
Okay.
Can't say that. As a linebacker,
That's impressive.
It's pretty big.
That is pretty big. And you guys are both from the great state of Virginia?
We are.
Yeah. Did you guys know each other in high school? Did you ever cross
No, we
paths?
didn't.
No?
We didn't.
Okay.
Full
All
circle,
right.
though.
But there's some Virginia love, I can imagine.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
Virginia is definitely for lovers, for sure.
Tell me about your style, because I think, and maybe I should ask your alignment there at the end too, but what do you bring to the table, and kind of what do you think about when in the way that you play the game?
I would say my mentality is something that has been showcased my whole career at Wake Forest. You can see that when I play. I have a grit, grind, focus. I'm very determined when I get the ball. And I might not be able to pop every single run, but my mind has always been on, if I can extend this run as far as I can and be able to set our team up to score, that's the ultimate goal I want to have. I would say I'm a guy that's going to make guys miss on the back end. Someone that's going to be able to go out on the pass game and catch the ball and to be able to be explosive as well. So, and most importantly, the one I take pride in personally is blocking, A-gap defenders in the A-gap, because I know that us and the old linemen, we got to be able to do it, for the receivers to get open. So, I know that's something that I desperately cheer deep in my heart. So
Yeah, well, any coach that I've ever talked to in the game of football says that is one of the most important roles for a running back, somebody who's willing to get in there and block.
It brings so much value.
Yeah, absolutely, and your O-linemen appreciate it, which is very important.
Definitely.
Aiden, everyone has a unique journey to where they get to where they go, and your path in particular you've overcome a lot. You've had a lot of tragic loss, and you shared some of that with me, and I'd just be curious if you'd be willing to share some of the stuff that you've overcome and kind of how that's formed you to being where you're sitting right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Growing up, most of the time it's me, my mom, my 2 sisters. The reason I wear number 4 now. I lost my father at a young age. Had a great man that came in as my stepfather for a couple years who was diagnosed with brain cancer. We lost him as well. But, I'm not looking for a pity story no matter where I go. I think the biggest thing is just, you're putting people's lives for a reason, in my opinion. Not only me, but those men in my life. They taught me some things that I've never thought that I'd be able to learn from people. And I think when you speak to my why, it's those men that were in my life as well as those girls at home that kind of look up to me. And, we share the same story, we share the same path. And I just think that's so important to me. And, being able to share that and have other people just know, like, there's always hope in something. You lose a lot of people along the way. There's a lot of stuff that, when you look at, you could feel sorry for yourself, but there's always a positive in something. And, as long as you keep going and you can get anywhere you want to be in life.
I appreciate that so much, and I think that the ability and willingness for you to share that is important, because I think people look at you guys and it feels like, oh, their lives are perfect and they've got everything. And so to be able to get real and talk about that, and I can't imagine the strength that your mom has.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no one that will ever match her in my books, and, she's my why and why I keep going.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that so much. And when I look at your guys' schedule, I mean, it's a new world in the Big Ten. There's going to be new teams. You guys, I know, are going to say that you're focused on FIU, which is your first game, because that's what everybody has been giving me. We're focused on game number 1. But when you're looking at the schedule and you're thinking about what is possible for you guys this season as we take a look, you get to go to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
September 14th to play UCLA. That's going to be terrific. You've got Washington coming to town on October 26th. You're going to have some new, fresh blood. What is it? What excites you the most when you're looking at this?
I think personally, I'm really excited to get out west and welcome in these new teams, and just really see what Pac-12 football was about, of years ago, and just welcome them into the Big Ten. And then we had 8 home games, which is awesome. So the IU fans are going to be packing the Rock, Memorial Stadium every game. And just really excited. We got 2 bye weeks, which helps us a lot, our bodies. And, I'm just really excited. And then we got the big one at the end, Purdue.
Yeah,
so
that is the big one. I mean, now I'm understanding, now that I'm remembering that you guys have 8 home games. That's why your dad wanted you to come back.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you can take the RV.
RV 8 times.
Yeah, and he got a new one, too, and he's loving it. Yeah.
All right, maybe we'll have to do a show, like a pregame
show.
There
you go, at the RV.
All right, and he can show us some of the footage.
Do it in the RV.
Ballet.
No, I don't think he's
I'm really seeing this come together. I'll talk to our
my mom will
content
already
team.
have it pulled up.
I love it. What is going to be the thing that allows you guys to take the next step this year?
I would probably say the main thing is having the veterans step up and to articulate that it's always important to keep your mind focused on the present. There's a lot of guys in our room, in the running back room, who know what it takes to be successful, but there's also a lot of guys on the team that know what it takes to be able to achieve a lot. A lot of guys coming from, Texas Tech, you got, Kent State, JMU, you got a lot of guys from all over that have had a lot of success in their career. So, just making sure that when we play a game and we win, like we say we're going to win, and Coach Cignetti has communicated that we're going to do, that we just hone in on, let's focus on the next game and not worry about the things that lay behind.
How do you guys feel when he's putting out what he's putting out, that Ohio State sucks?
I love it.
You gotta love it.
We love it. We got to back it up, though.
It's infectious.
It's infectious, though. It's contagious.
I love it. The energy is important, and I think a lot of
doubt.
times teams take on the personality of their head coach. And I think if you take on Curt Cignetti's personality, it's going to be a fun year in Bloomington.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. My favorite fun fact that I learned, other than that you play ballet, is that you play trumpet and you play saxophone.
Yep, vice versa. I
Vice
play
versa.
trumpet.
You play trumpet and
There
you
we
play
go.
saxophone.
Yep.
But I feel like you guys could play any position in
It's a
football.
talented
You
bunch.
could play
Yeah.
any
It's a
any
talented
instrument.
bunch
that I
here.
had. Next year we'll bring up those instruments and have you prove it.
I don't know about
you
that
guys
one.
are like Renaissance men.
Yeah, we're
up here.
awesome.
You
We're
just
awesome.
the Hoosiers, my new favorite team,
come on.
right here. The Gophers know how to do it, I'll tell you that much. The dance moves here, there's no music, but it doesn't matter when you have the rhythm. Dragan Kesic, the kicker. I mean, these are phenomenal moves, and look at the shoes. Max Brosmer, Cody Lindenberg, Darius Taylor. We saw some of your moves, and I'd say, Cody, you also were cutting a rug down there. But welcome to the set. Welcome to Media Day. You guys can make an entrance.
Thank you.
If we had a dance-off, who would win?
Not me.
Us three. I was giving it my best
Not even
shot
close.
out there.
You
so,
were?
yeah.
You were. A for effort. That's
Absolutely.
what I'll say. How has Media Day been going?
It's been a blast.
Yeah?
It's definitely a busy day, but in a good way.
Yeah? How about for you?
Yeah, excellent. It's been great experience. Awesome to get a chance to talk to a bunch of different people. A bunch of fun questions as well. Something that definitely pushes the limits of different. So it's been fun.
What's the weirdest question you've gotten today?
Probably like how heavy is the football?
Oh, yeah, that stumped a lot of people. What did you have an answer?
Yeah, I said like 30 ounces, but I was completely wrong.
Max can correct you. Did you get that one right?
Nope. I was close though. Not
What'd you-
really. I said 9 ounces,
9
but it was
ounces.
15, I think.
15 ounces. Depends on if you're
Probably
playing
should
with
know that.
whether it's Tom Brady's football.
Oh, boy.
There
you go.
Welcome to the Big Ten. I'm excited. I know a lot of Minnesota fans are so excited that they got you out of the portal, and the jump from FCS to the Big Ten will not be insignificant. But just first, let's start with why PJ Fleck and why Minnesota?
Yeah, for me, I'm a big culture guy. I've always been really high on family and culture. When I got to Minnesota and I met the captain's council, I met the older guys, I felt that I meshed with them right away. Cody was in the room with me, and he was actually my host on my visit. We've been tight ever since, and I felt that once I met my family, I would make my decision. I met my family here.
That's a great answer, and I think now we need to know that it's Cody who got you to come. I mean, you've not been getting the due that you deserve.
Yeah.
And you did assimilate right away. I mean, from what I understand, you were named a captain almost right away.
Yeah, it's a huge honor to be named captain that early, but a lot of that is my team trusts me that quickly. I can't thank them enough for that, and it's a hard thing to do, to trust someone you just met within a couple months, and it's been amazing so far.
And I'll ask both of you from your perspective again. I mean, the quarterback is often one of the biggest leaders and biggest voices in a locker room. And when you have somebody come in new, all programs across the country are, this is becoming a more normal thing. But how has the adjustment been, and what do you think he brings to this team?
It's been excellent. The leadership is outstanding. First day he was in, he was setting up meetings with wide receivers, getting class schedules set up to be able to schedule meetings, and whether it's off the field or on the field, taking accountability for others' actions. It's hard to even take accountability for your own actions at some point in your life. We can all relate to that. But to be able to stand up, lead others in a way that he does in a first-class manner in an elite level is, outstanding. It's amazing to see, and it's been great to, bounce defensive questions off him as well. Like, hey, you see this look, what are you thinking? And then vice versa, we can able to have, conversate in that type of manner.
When you can understand what the quarterback sees, I'm sure it makes a big difference on your end. And what about you? I mean, you're the only true sophomore at Big Ten Media Days. There's 54 players here, and you're the only true sophomore. So I know that you're one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. I know you were injured last year. How are you feeling, first and foremost?
I feel great.
Yeah?
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for the season. Ready for start-up fall camp coming up soon, so I'm excited.
When I look at your stats, you average over 130 rushing yards per game. And again, you missed about 6 games, but you ran for over 200 in the bowl game.
Yes.
Walk me through the mindset and mentality playing in the bowl game, and did you have a feeling that you were going to be able to come out and play like you did?
The biggest thing was, I was going home back to Detroit, Michigan, so I was playing in front of my family, the Taylor gang. So, it was really fun. That made it even more of an elevated experience. I did come into the game knowing that I was going to give it my all. I always give my all. But I knew my teammates will have my back, my O-line, tight end, so I was just excited for that game for sure.
Well, and you earned Quick Lane Bowl MVP. You set a school freshman record in a bowl game, 208 rushing yards. Coach Fleck said something that stuck in my brain. He said in the offseason you've connected with your body more, that it feels like you've kind of grown and figured out maybe what you need to do to have your body be right to go through the whole season. So describe that to me.
Definitely. I spent a lot more time in the athletic training room. We've came up with the whole plan for me to take care of my body, what I should be eating, how I should be working out, how much I should be in the hot tubs, how much I should be in the cold tubs, like when I should be doing those things. And I feel like that's really helped me through this offseason. I've made like tremendous strides when it comes to like understanding my body and what I need to do.
I got to ask you, because I know that the quarterback's best friend is his offensive line, but maybe
Mhm.
right next to that is a running back and somebody who you can rely on. What have you learned about his style of play and what he brings to the offense?
Yeah, I'll say first and foremost, he's an extremely mature individual for how young he is. Like you said, he's the youngest kid here, and that shows throughout our whole team and in the locker room as well. Obviously, he's a very dynamic running back. He's extremely fun to practice with, and the best part is he just loves to do it, which is the reason I love to hang around him. And you gotta have a best friend in the backfield too, not just to protect for you, but also to catch passes for you and ultimately make plays in the field that will keep drives moving.
Yeah, that is the name of the game. Cody, Coach Fleck is such a personality and a character and somebody that the world of college football knows well. What is it like to actually play for him, and what is unique about his coaching style and approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Within Coach Fleck's culture, within his system, it's not just about football each and every single day. It's a life program. It's a developmental program. So, he cares about us academically, athletically, socially, and spiritually. So it's not win at all costs. It's, hey, you're going to go to school, you're going to sit in the first two rows, and you're going to wear a college shirt. You're going to go to tutoring, you're going to make sure that you're getting good grades. And it's not just, hey, you're going to get grades so you can play. It's you're going to go to tutoring and make sure that you're doing your absolute best. If your best is a B+, a C+, that's good. You're doing your absolute best, but now it's time to change your best with tutoring, with going to class and asking your teacher something each and every day, to continue to learn. It's making sure that we spend time with our family, making sure that we spend time with our friends, making sure that we're, connecting with those around us. We talk about a dangerous team is, a connected team. And that's allowing yourself to know those around you, know those in the locker room. Because, hey, if I don't know somebody, maybe I'm less apt to listen to them for a coaching point or, a tip here and advice there. And it's maybe saying, hey, I know this guy learns better if I sit him down and maybe write something on the board for him, learn him that way. Or maybe, hey, this guy can handle if I'm a little more stern with him. That's the way he, prefers to be coached, prefers to take advice. It's that type of situation that Coach Fleck really strives us to continue to pursue. And it's been a blessing to have that sort of energy, driven into our lives as well. To teach us that it's not just going around and screaming and yelling. That's not what having energy towards your life is about. It's having that purpose towards something that you love and something that you truly enjoy each and every single day.
That is really well put, because I think some people say, oh, energy, and yeah, it is just going around and running and screaming, but it is purposeful. And I love that you talk about connecting with your friends and your family as being one of the most important things. And so much is put on you guys, as student athletes, and to play football at this level, to go to a university like Minnesota. I know that there are a lot of demands on your time. One of those is learning a new defensive system. You guys have a new coordinator this year in Corey Heatherman. How has that transition gone? And tell us what we can kind of expect to see on that side of the ball.
Absolutely. It's been great. With change, a lot of people, consider change a hard thing, which it is. Change is hard, but it's not a bad thing. There's new perspectives that come with that. There's new viewpoints, new philosophies, and that's something that you can definitely expect with Coach Heatherman. And it's been great to just, sit down, have conversations with him. He's very open, very, you can have a conversation with him about something outside of football. When the whole Timberwolves run was going on, even he's a big Celtics fan. He's from Massachusetts, so able to, joke around, have fun with that. But, inside the building, very open to questions. It's very cliche, no question's a dumb question along those lines, but he truly stands by that and he means it. So that hey, maybe a person like myself, a fifth-year guy who, maybe some people on the external may think that I have all the answers. I don't know everything. I still have questions each and every day, but he's open enough and, honest to where, hey, you guys can ask me any question and I'm going to give you a straight up answer. So I feel comfortable and everyone else feels comfortable asking those type of questions to get clarity. And then, that clarity on the field is going to allow us to play faster, so on and so forth. Because as soon as you have to think on the field, you're a step behind. At this Big Ten level, especially the level, coming to the NFL, if you're a step behind, you're not going to get there. So I just couldn't be more appreciative of the way that he goes about teaching us, the way he helps us to learn. And, it's not just one learning style. Everyone learns differently, and he understands that, and he fully leans into that.
Darius, one of the things that Coach Fleck mentioned on the podium today was just how much you've overcome in your life and everything, all of the obstacles to be sitting where you are right now and representing Minnesota and having the season you had, even though you were injured, and what is ahead of you. How would you describe your journey to get here?
I would describe it as just perseverance. I never really let the things that I've been through affect how I act or like what I want to do. I just want to be like a role model for my siblings and just the people from my community, just that no matter what circumstances you're in, you can do whatever you want to do. I've overcome certain things, and that shows that like anybody can do it. I feel like if you have somebody there that's supporting you, like I had, and my grandmother Carletta and my auntie Shanika, that like, I mean, you can do whatever you want. Like I had coaches that were helping me. It could be a coach, it could be a parent, it could be a random family member, honestly. Like it can be anybody to help you. As long as you have somebody believing in you, I feel like you can do whatever you want to do. And sometimes if you don't have somebody that's there believing in you, if you believe in yourself, you can really make things happen no matter what your circumstances are.
I love that so much. And it is important, I think, to understand and acknowledge all the people that helped every one of us get to where we are right now. For you've had a lot of experience. If you could go back and tell your 18-year-old self something, maybe give him a piece of advice, what would it be?
Take a breath. Yeah, I still am. I'm like football, and it's it becomes overwhelming, but that's why I do. I love it.
Yeah.
But definitely to take a breath and control, you can control.
And I think that is a very important thing for all of us to remember in this world that we're going 100 miles an hour all the time. We got about a minute and a half left. We're going to do a little quick fire. You guys good with that?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. If you could win an Olympic gold medal in any sport, what would it be?
Rugby.
Oh, good one.
I said track earlier, but learning now that surfing is going to be a new Olympic sport, I think that would be absolutely amazing.
These are the best answers so far.
I say wrestling or Greco-Roman wrestling.
Greco-Roman, I don't know the difference. What's the difference?
So Greco-Roman is all throws, so overhead toss, and then I did folk style in high school, so that was what you would traditionally know for a high school wrestler.
Amazing. Okay, those are the three most eclectic answers that I've gotten. I'm going to go, if you could be an animal, what would you be?
Definitely a chimpanzee.
A chimpanzee, why?
Mobile, can fly around the trees.
Thumbs, you can still use your thumbs.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. And you're kind of like the most.
You still throw a football.
You could, yeah. You're the most human as possible.
Okay,
yeah.
All right, good answer.
I would say a cheetah. I've always liked the thought of being like the fastest thing that could possibly run. I've heard that, like an antelope that can run technically faster for longer, but I think cheetah's short distance are the fastest. So.
Darius is looking at you like,
I say a tiger. They're just my favorite animal, so I just like how they look. They're big, mean. It's fun.
You're like a tiger on the field. All right. You guys are fantastic, and I appreciate it. It's been fun to get to know you and some of your stories, and looking forward to watching you this year. And take a breath.
Yeah. Thank you.